And thank you very much, Angel. And I appreciate all of you and your patience for those that have arrived on time. So we can get this meeting, our February full board meeting underway. Today is the 21st of February, 2023. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 11's meeting. My name is Xavier Santiago. I'm the chair of CB11. This meeting is officially called to order at 6:40 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by our district manager, Adriel Miscane, assistant district manager, Khalid Nixon, and community liaison, Marlene Pierre. Before we jump into the ground rules, real quick, happy Mardi Gras or happy Fat Tuesday. Just want to, for those that want to celebrate. And now we jump into our ground rules. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear, and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair recognizes the next person to speak. 3, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address or telephone number that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. 4, when a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you. You may unmute yourself at that time, so you may speak. 5, please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion at hand. 6, members of the public can register to speak in the public session by completing the pre-registration form and providing their name, affiliation, and what topic they wish to speak about. A link to the registration form has been shared in the chat. Registration for the public session needs to be completed by 7:15 p.m. And now we will go to our roll call. Michelle, are you capable of doing the roll call right now? Yep.
Okay. Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Leroy Andino.
Present.
Stephanie Arroyo is excused. April Autry.
Present.
Adem Briha. Juhaid Chaudhry. Diane Collier.
Here.
Devon Cronchow. Kenneth Crouch.
Present.
Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Angela Donadell.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Judith Febrero.
Here.
Raja Flores.
Present.
Ascendi Garcia. Brandon Gillespie. David Giordano. John Green.
I'm here.
Wanda Hopkins is excused. Alonzo Johnson.
I'm here, David Giordano. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button.
Okay, thank you, David. Jewel Jones.
Present.
Marissa Mack.
Present.
Giselle Malave.
Present.
Malik McCullough. Jennifer Mayer.
Present.
Jessica Morris.
Present.
Nilsa Akrama.
Present.
I'm
Beverly-
present, Michelle. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Malik. Beverly Pabon.
Shalom, present.
Arturo Perez. Claudia Perez. Roberto Perez. Shavasia Robertson Tagg. Asha Rodriguez. Eugene Rodriguez.
Here.
Dawn
I'm sorry.
Sanders.
I couldn't unmute.
Oh, is that Asher?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I think I heard Eugene, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Don Sanders. Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Isaac Scott, Russell Schuler,
Present.
Vincent Torres, Amory Vasquez,
Present.
Jason Villanueva is excused. Candy Vivaz Vasquez, Michelle Wilshire Clement, which is me, I am here. Jordan Wright, and Jason Wu.
Okay, by my count, it looks like we have a quorum, correct, Michelle?
Michelle, Dembria, I'm present as well.
Okay, thank you, Adem.
Quorum is present.
I do have a question, Xavier.
Yes.
Do we count the person who is now on public safety and transportation?
No, he's not a full board member. It is only for committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so he is not counted towards a full membership in this case for quorum. Thank you, but we appreciate his attendance.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. All right, pre-registered speakers.
Chair, Carlos Diaz is on. I heard my name was called.
Okay, please reflect the record, Michelle, that Carlos was here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Pre-registered publics, pre-registered speakers. We are trying something new where you actually fill out a Google sheet. It makes it easier for our staff and for all of us to keep tabs on who's registered. We do ask that you put your first and last name in. It makes it easier for the public record because all of these meetings can be foiled and we want to be in abidance of the law. So a few ground rules for those wishing to speak. One, you must sign up to give testimony, providing your name and affiliation. Two, you will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Please state your phone and email up front. 2 minutes to speak. All right, whoever's, please mute yourself so I can carry on. Thank you.
The phone number.
Okay, thank you. If you can just make sure you're muted. That way everyone can hear the meeting. Moving on. 2, you'll be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Please state your phone and email up front. 2 minutes to speak and reserve a minute for questions. A timer will be up as an aid for you to keep track of the time. 3, you should address your testimony to the board, not the public. 4, you should speak clearly and into the microphone. 5, you should also be prepared to respond to board members who may ask questions in order to clarify facts and opinions presented in your comments. 6, if required, the chair will remind you of the time or concluding the remarks. Board members, again, only ask clarifying questions if necessary. Commentary will not be entertained. Angel, has anyone signed up to speak in the public session? I have the first one on my list, Theodora Scarrato. Is that correct on your list?
Yes, we have the same list.
Okay. All right, just confirming. All right, Theodora.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Theodora Scarrato, and I'm Executive Director of Environmental Health Trust, and we're a scientific nonprofit focused on prevention as the key. So we recently, actually, it's been almost a year and a half, I apologize. We had a favorable ruling in our case against the FCC regarding their outdated limits for wireless radiation that applies to cell towers like the 5G towers that are going up in New York City. And what the court determined is that the FCC had ignored evidence that was submitted to the record on impacts such as impacts to brain development, children's vulnerability, long-term exposure, and they ordered the FCC to respond. The FCC has not responded by showing that they did their homework. In fact, we don't know how they could respond because it simply hasn't been done. There hasn't been any review by any federal agency, not by the EPA, FDA, CDC, NIH, or the National Cancer Institute as well, to look into the health effects of long-term exposure and look at all of the evidence to determine what a safe level is. In fact, there has never been standard setting by a federal agency. In fact, the FCC adopted limits from industry field groups, but that's another story. Our website is ehtrust.org, and I wanted to offer any questions that you might have about the process. One of the things that we are working on right now is the lack of regulations, the lack of environmental monitoring. Like, what is the level in New York City right now? What's the level right, in your living space or outside on the street? There's been no monitoring by the FCC, whereas many other countries are, of course, doing that. There's also no compliance, and we've been asking or oversight. We have asked the city to answer our questions related to where's the RF compliance data, and we have not received that so far. So I think that that's really important. I'm glad to put in the chat a link to our letter or send it to you that we've sent to the city requesting information related to the radio frequency radiation exposure limits. And also, I should say, there are hundreds of scientists who are signing appeals, writing letters, and calling for urgent action related to the issue of cell tower and wireless radiation because of the substantial amount of scientific evidence that does associate exposure with a variety of effects.
Carrie, thank you very much for being with us in the space. Are there any board member questions? Kenneth. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for appearing in front of us today. I have a quick question. Could you provide the case caption for that case against the SEC just so that we and the board and also members of the public can follow along the status of that case? Or if you could tell us what court that's in front of, because I'm curious to see where that will end up.
Sure, it's the U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C. Circuit, and it's Environmental Health Trust et al. Versus the FCC. Would you like me to put a link in the chat, or?
Yeah, or if you could type out the case caption as well in the chat, whichever is easier.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Jessica.
Just follow on, and thanks for coming to speak with us today. At present, beyond providing information, you don't formally have an ask of our body tonight, do you?
Well, I had actually, if you want to ask, I would like the letter which I sent to the city for it to be reviewed and for there to be a consideration that the board considers sending the questions that I have in my letter for your own information, things like where are the RF compliance reports, what basis are you thinking that this is safe, and so forth. And the other thing that I would request is that there actually be a town hall where there can be kind of a full and frank discussion on this, because I've been in a lot of community board meetings where there's been information discussed and there hasn't been the chance to really go through it with all perspectives on the table. So the city is saying that the federal agencies say it's safe. But they're not, what they're not saying is that there's been no federal no proper review of the issue. So that would, I guess, be my second thing.
So just to follow up, I think, it's incredibly important, and it doesn't fit neatly in an organized bucket of our committee-based set of concerns. And I think that's what's challenging. It's both open space. It also is our streets, our housing, our environment. It's something that's come up before, and there's an enormous amount of dollars earmarked for connectivity. And in the name of connectivity, if we're affecting our health adversely, unintentionally, that could have enormous repercussions for everyone involved. So I appreciate you coming today. And if there's more clarity, Xavier, on how we connect to the information that Ms. Scarrato is providing, so that we can do our due diligence and perhaps provide, if necessary, a nudge.
I'm going to put
Regarding
my
the connection between federal and local. I would hope that we could. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for raising that. I'm going to put my information in the chat, and we'll see if there's a way for you to come present to the appropriate committee. And I appreciate you being here in this space because I know we're in touch with other community boards and the positions they're taking on this. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Jill McManus. Jill, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, am I on?
You are. We hear you loud and clear.
Right, well, I'm Jill McManus, called New Yorkers for Wired Tech, like broadband to be wired. And we're a small group of educators. So I spoke to you once before at a previous meeting in public. Theodore has gone through some very key factors. In fact, this is an existential level question and issue, not really dividable into all those areas of your committees. I agree. He has had a franchise to place some 13,000 cell towers on street poles and other existing structures. Now the New York City Office of Technology and Innovation, that's OTI, has plans with City Bridge to build an additional 2,000 huge cell towers around the 5 boroughs. Some of these are under the auspices of Link New York City, 5G kiosks, which implies a little snack booth where a phone booth used to be. However, these 32 feet tall structures reach the third floor windows of an apartment building and could be 10 feet away from your window. They provide free Wi-Fi hotspots. Some have advertising screens that stay lit all night, and they present more obstacles on the also emit radio microwave radiation that will hit anyone who crosses. 5G cell towers and Link New York City kiosks were planned without the consent of the public, and in many cases no warning before construction. They were seemingly designated for commercial areas, but they're being curiously placed in residential areas. Many of the areas have no real need that can be established from the record. Many of the sites chosen may be profitable for advertisers who use the screen. Many are sited in landmark preservation areas. Two of your 4 towers are in historical areas. They really shouldn't be there. Some of the towers are built to contain equipment from several telecommunication companies, bulb-shaped top that will be using a variety of frequencies. They scan for cell phones, then they focus on the phone using beam while they emit pulsed and modulated signals millions of times per second that come in uneven bursts. Living bodies, while perhaps not registering it consciously, are recording biological disturbances at levels well below the so-called FCC emission guidelines. Military studies and peer-reviewed studies
15
have shown
seconds.
in the past that these pulses can affect metabolism, neurological functioning, and change heart rates. By affecting hormones, they can lead to diabetes and thyroid problems, and children are particularly vulnerable as their skulls are still forming and their skin is
Time.
thinner.
Time.
So
Thank you very much.
I would like to make one final urge that you, CB11, disapproves of the cell towers and ask for a citywide or indeed statewide moratorium on this 5G construction until more is known about the health consequences.
Thank you very much, Joe McManus. Appreciate you for being here in the space. All right. Next, we have Piet. Piet, I don't have a last. Marissa, sorry, your hands up. Thank you. You had a question for Joe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank
Sorry,
you
missed
for
that.
no, it's okay. Thank you so much for recognizing me. Thank you to the individuals who have presented. I just have 2 questions. So I know that obviously for health reasons that there needs to be a little bit more study behind these 5G towers, asking what the alternative may be, right? Now, so not that I'm putting health above the benefits of the towers, but I know during the pandemic in areas, and not sure where you are calling in from, but specifically in East Harlem and Harlem in general and parts of Brooklyn, low to moderate income communities, the Wi-Fi was used for study for children during the pandemic. So the Wi-Fi towers themselves were of use to the community, and did actually supplement not needing to pay for Wi-Fi in certain areas. And so I'm not totally, obviously health comes before, access, right? Just like logically, but I'm not ready to just say like, no, let's get rid of them unless we have some sort of alternative, because they have been very helpful to the community. So I wanted to know in your presentation, what do you feel might be appropriate, or have you done a study to say, fine, we don't do this, but let's do this? So that's my question.
All right, Joe, Do you care to respond? Okay. Well, I think what we can do is we'll invite both Jill McManus and Theodora Scarrato to come back, and I'm feeling this will most likely be an executive committee meeting for next month is where I'm trending towards that. But I'd like to, Michelle.
I would like to respond to Marissa Mack's question. I have had some information where it wasn't just the towers, but it was more specific to the carrier that you had. So that if you had a different carrier, like say there's Spectrum, there's Verizon, there's all these different ones. If you had one that was a more expensive one, you actually had better access. So it's not necessarily the towers per se, but how they are blocking the access to people that are not paying more. So that has to be taken into account as well.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. I think, again, this will be a rife for discussion at executive committee, and that's where I'm going to ask we take this conversation. And I invite also the people presenting both for and against that they come to that, but stand by for that. I'd like to move on to Piet, please. I don't see Piet in the list, so I'm going to move along to Taisha Smalls. Taisha, you got your 3 minutes. And just a reminder, any contact information, please state it up front before your presentation. Taisha?
Yes. Hello. My name is Taisha. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Hi, my name is Taisha Smalls. I'm the community organizer at We Act for Environmental Justice, which stands for West Harlem Environmental Justice. We're a nonprofit advocacy organization that's dedicated to build healthy communities for low-income communities. I'm inviting the community board 11 and the members of East Harlem to come to our monthly membership meeting, which is actually Saturday, March 11th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's in person. The location is 454 West 155th Street between St. Nicholas and Amsterdam Avenue. The topic we'll be talking about is the compost and bins, where we also going to have Department of Sanitation talk about the compost and bins, which is called the Big Belly bins. They're going to explain how people can use it and the purpose of it, since it's coming all to the 5 boroughs. There will be more topics coming as well as the days come closer. I already sent out the flyer to the community board, but we also would like people to sign up as well if you're interested. If there's any questions about the membership meeting, you can contact myself. It's Taisha, TYISHA at weact.org, or Pamela Stewart Martinez, which is the Director of Civic Engagement and Organizing, and it's Pamela at weact.org, PAMELA at WEACT.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for those that joined from We Act for a tour here in the community. Really appreciated it. It was great to have you in the space. Any questions from our board members? Don't see any raised hands. So thank you very much for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Again, the contact information is in the chat as well as stated aloud. Next, we have Odette Wilkins. Odette?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. Good evening, I'm Odette Wilkins, and I'm President and General Counsel of Wired Broadband. We're a nonprofit located in Forest Hills, New York, focusing on safe technology for the public. I'm also a technology attorney and have been for over 20 years representing multinational corporations. Therefore, I know about the benefits of technology and I know about the risks. There are many risks associated with wireless radiation and with the Link 5G in particular. I have submitted a full report to your board back in December regarding the situation. I sent it to the district manager. I don't know if you've received it, but I can resend it. Community boards around the city are saying they do not need them and they do not want them. They have been disapproving and voting on resolutions and for moratoriums because they have concerns regarding aesthetics, the ill placement in historic districts, the lack of privacy and security, rat infestations on existing Link NYC kiosks, and health issues related to exposure to wireless radiation. Our recommendation that there be board resolutions for disapproval and moratoria on Link 5G installations in your district to protect the residents of your district. We are also calling to join us to put together a town hall. I'm now organizing a town hall for New York City, and it's going to include a lot of the community boards who have already disapproved and declared moratoria. Now, the community boards that have disapproved this are CB2, CB5, 8, and 9 in Manhattan, Brooklyn, CB10, CB4, Queens. I think there are several in Queens that are going to be disapproving, and also Washington Heights has been in a big uproar because OTI started construction before they got community input. Now, there was a question regarding if there's an alternative. Yes, and that is fiber optics. Wireless 5G depends on fiber optics. It cannot operate without fiber optics. That is the superior technology for broadband. So for children who need broadband and who need capacity, you can get like 1 gig download and upload speeds with fiber. Wireless does not come anywhere close. It's a much inferior alternative. And actually, the United States has prioritized fiber to the premises for Biden's Investment in Infrastructure Act. Perhaps there are some questions that people have. I do have more to go and other federal cases, which are very important for New York State, but perhaps you have some questions.
Board members, do you have any questions? Jessica Morris, your question, please.
Just a clarification, the additional information that you have, is that contained in the brief that you forwarded to the board in December?
Correct.
Thank you. Hopefully we can have a look if we've not already seen that. Thank you.
Right, and I can also update it because there's been a lot of information since then, so I can update it for you, but I can at least give you, again, the version that I sent in December. And by the way, in the data set for New York City, you were slated for 4 locations. And now I don't see anything in the data set. Now, I don't know if that means that they've already decided to start construction in those areas, or if they've abandoned them. It's not clear. There's not very much transparency here.
Okay, thank you very much. I put my email in the chat. So when you send it our district manager, please send it to myself as well. And you can also put vice chair at CB11M.org, and that'll also get to our vice chair of the board, who is also the chair of Environment, Open Space and Parks. One more question from Asher Rodriguez. Asher.
By any chance, do you have specific statistics for East Harlem? Because I know that we're specifically, we represent East Harlem, so I would like to see specific East Harlem statistics.
Well, the statistics are across the board, but in terms of where your locations have been proposed, I have that in the submission.
Okay, also, sorry, Xavier, if I may, can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you have any, does your information that you sent to the board, does it also have like a proposed solution like that you would like, because I know you said fiber optics, but like very specific, like specifically like the breakdown of the cost and difference between the cable towers and the fiber optics?
Well, no, we don't go into that detail. That's something for the city to provide because they have all the details. We do not, there's no transparency here. We don't know what the fiber build out is in New York City, and Verizon has already done a huge fiber build out in New York, but we don't have the maps. So there's, we really need to get more information from the city. They haven't been transparent about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Good question, Asher. Thank you, Odette. Emails there, please forward along what you have, the updated version. I just got one email from Theodora, and I appreciate you sending that just so we can chase this down. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right, very good. We're going to move along. We have our last publicly registered speaker is Aurelia. I'm presuming that's Taveras.
Yes.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
I'm trying to take off the video. Unable to detect, oh, I'm sorry, it's saying it's unable to detect a camera. I'm sorry, everyone, I'm trying to get the camera on. Okay. My name's Aurelia Taveras. I'm the representative for Prime One LLC, a restaurant, well, Boca Prime, located at 2257 First Avenue. We're requesting a change in method of operation to add additional entertainment, DJ and karaoke for limited evenings from Thursday to Saturday. Last call midnight, where they would be, not last call, well, last, music to end at midnight. This applicant has been at the location for 3 years. I understand that we had a manager there that was doing a couple of things that, in other words, playing music louder than, we have a sound limiter to control the sound. We had some occasions of hookah, which we're not denying. What we're saying is this owner, who is now in the business because it is suffering tremendous economic losses, because this is what the clientele is asking for, entertainment, to be able to sing along with their karaoke. We don't have outdoor dining. We don't have other alternative sources of revenue. This owner, this is what he does, this restaurant. And Julio Gores is very respected in our community. One of the few Latin restaurants in the area that are servicing this market. Also, he's one of the last ones that are remaining, because after COVID, a lot of our restaurants are gone. This is a Latino location. The clients love it there. It's really a cute spot. We have letters of recommendation from Assembly Member Gibbs. We have one from Peggy Morales, the district leader. We have one from Harry Rodriguez, your district leader. And we've met with a couple of the people in the area, and the people that we have met with have not shown such a severe objection to the proposed method of operation. I think that the opportunity a license is for you to lose. If an owner comes and represents and does something that's disingenuous with this board, that, after he's been given the opportunity to operate, or after, because we can take baby steps with this, I think he should be afforded the opportunity. He's been a good neighbor. I don't think you've had issues with him since you guys were talking about, he fired that manager. I don't think you've had any issues with this location. I think that he should be afforded the opportunity, and I would love for this board to entertain that. I also wanted to say, I too have concerns about the towers, and I think an alternative solution for these members of this board is to request a minimal baby steps, similar to this method of operation I'm asking for, baby steps with these towers, because they're asking for thousands of them. Then they didn't even ask for permission. So I think that the board should consider maybe limiting the installation, because technology is going to move forward. We don't want to be left behind, but it should have some constraints before we all go crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Presenting.
Thank you, Mr.
Aurelia.
Santiago.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Any questions from our board members? Thank you, Taveras, Aurelia. That will be under new business at the end of our business section of the meeting. So that's
Mr. Santiago, I just have one question. I have the owner. Maybe he can wave, since you can't see my camera. Julio Gores is on. For everyone who doesn't know who he is, I'd love to introduce him, just even if he can't speak, because he's not a registered speaker.
For a few moments. He's not registered, but go ahead for a few moments, please. Is he with you at the moment?
He's there. He's on the screen. Mr. Gores?
Yeah, we don't see your screen right now. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, maybe maybe in public session, he can introduce himself. Thank you, Mr. Santiago. I appreciate
thank you.
that.
Well, it'll be at the tail end of our agenda under new business.
Sure.
Look at that.
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
And thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
We will give him an opportunity if he stays on at the end of the evening. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. That concludes our publicly registered speakers according to the list here. We're now going to move the agenda along. I appreciate your patience. Given the feedback, I'd like to keep things moving smoothly. We'll hear from our elected officials locally here. If you have not already signed up to speak, we ask that the elected officials or their representatives please alert our staff in the chat if they wish to give a report. We ask that any event service literature be sent to our office so we may post and share share it as is appropriate. Please keep your report to 3 minutes and to be mindful not to repeat what others have already mentioned. I know I had gotten a ping from our council member, Julie Menon, and I think she had a limited time. So Julie, if you are there still.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I'm here. Thank you so much. And hello, CB11. It's great to see you all. So I have a couple things to report on 5G. I've listened intently to the conversation, and I know CB11 will be taking this up. I do want to let you know that when the towers were first proposed, I reached out to OTI to express concerns. They have agreed to move certain towers under certain conditions, and let me stipulate what those conditions are, and we'd be happy to send this over to you. But basically, they have told us that if any proposed tower blocks, for example, a bus entrance, access to a bus lane, if there's an accessibility issue where residents feel that there is real accessibility issues around a particular location, please let my office know that, because we'd be happy to work with you to get that information over to OTI, because there are certain conditions upon which they said they would change a location. So I do want to mention that. And I look forward to seeing, how CB8, as was mentioned before, did a resolution against these towers. I look forward to official input from CB11 and welcome your input. I do want to highlight a very important issue I've been working on Thursday. A bill that I have called the Healthcare Accountability and Consumer Protection Act is going to be heard at 10 a.m. We'll drop the link in the chat box. Basically, my bill requires that every New York City hospital has to disclose the price of every single medical procedure. There is no other area where you have no idea what you're going to be charged for a service as you do with hospitals. And right now, if you're a woman giving birth in the city, you could be charged $55,000 for a C-section at Montefiore or $17,000 at another hospital. It's absurd. My bill has 43 council members co-sponsoring it and has the support of the major labor unions in the city. So I feel very confident we're going to get this bill through, but I'd really love to have a lot of people turn out to testify because it is such an important consumer protection issue. Also wanted to mention my office is once again doing participatory budgeting. So once again, we will be letting the community decide how you want us to give out $1 million. I'm really excited about this. Last year, we had 1,800 community members vote on it. I hope we'll have even higher participation this time. And so I look forward to having a dialogue with CB11 on this. Harry Gale from my office is also on this Zoom. And so his information is in the chat box if you need to reach either of us at any time. So thank you so much. And I'm happy to answer questions if there's time for that.
Great. Thank you for being with us. Beverly, your question.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Menace, for the presentation. Can you tell me regarding the 5G towers? When I'm listening to this conversation, I'm thinking that the tower is going to be on roofs or rooftops or something like that. But you're speaking of it being blocking bus routes or bus access. So can you tell me, one, are they that low to the street? And two, do you have a list of what locations these towers will be slated for as for our East Harlem area?
Sure, Beverly, I'm happy to answer that. So right now, these proposed towers are on the sidewalk. So I don't know if CB11 has shared the map of them. Our office would be happy to do that. In Council District 5, there are 3 of them right now, but they are going to be proliferating all over the city of New York. And so it is incredibly important that communities have input on this. What other cities have done, many other cities have put them on rooftops, by the way. So to the question you're asking, other cities have opted to put them on rooftops. Here they are largely on sidewalks. And so we've heard tremendous concern from the community about this.
Okay, thank you for that. It was a good question, and we appreciate your advocacy with this matter as we wade our way through it. So thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing that there are none. Thank you very much, Councilmember. Good to see you. I look forward to having a coffee with you this year.
Great, me too. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, CB11. Great to see you all. Bye.
Bye. Okay, who is next on our list for elected officials?
Stacy Marius with Assemblymember Dickens' office.
All right, Stacy, you've got your 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, Stacy, could you hold on 2 seconds? Malik, you had your hand up. Did you want to ask Councilmember Menon a question? I just missed that. Sorry, Stacy. Malik? Okay, we're just gonna go ahead. Go ahead, Stacy.
Thank you, and no worries. I just wanted to say thank you for the invitation, but I wanted to, on behalf of the Assemblywoman, my name is Stacy Marius, Community Liaison. I wanted to, for the Assemblywoman Inez Dickens, I just wanted to let everyone know that the Black and Latino caucus this weekend was phenomenal. The workshops were wonderful. The Assemblywoman did have 2 workshops. One was the investment in New York State real estate, as well as cure violence for public safety and gun violence. So they were an excellent workshop. All of them turned out to be well attended, and it was just a magnificent weekend. So I have a really brief announcement, which is an event that she will be hosting. The Assembly member will be hosting an event March 2nd from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Harlem State Office Building at 163 West 125th Street on the 2nd floor in the Art Gallery. The title of the workshop will be record sealing, and it just is in regards to making mistakes in the past and being able to correct those mistakes with a second chance through record sealing. And our panelist will be the Athena Drysdale from the New York City Criminal Court judge, the Honorable Judge Milton Tingling with the County Clerk to the Supreme Court, as well as Xavier Donaldson, who's a trial lawyer and professor of law. So we hope that you guys could come out and participate and attend this workshop. It definitely helps if you've had a nonviolent criminal record that has prevented you from whether it's getting an apartment or whether it's getting a job. We'll give you facts and information on how to correct that through record sealing. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Stacy.
Chair.
Good to be in the space. Any questions? Please raise your hands. Okay, Malik, I think you had a question and you are muted for the council member, if I recall.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But
do you have one? Go ahead and
this
ask.
might
it.
be
Harry is still on.
yeah, this might be an open question. It's more so, do anyone knows who will be building these towers and like where the parks or who's the towers coming from?
Okay, thank you. Okay, Stacy, would you have an answer for that by chance or no?
I don't have any information on that, but he's welcome to call our office tomorrow. I put all my information in the chat, and he's welcome to give our office a call. I don't have any information on that at this time. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, thank you. And
You're
Harry Gale, if you could take that question back to the council member as well. Yes,
Absolutely.
Just a point of information in response to Malik's question, I just put, there was an article in the New York Times that has a great picture of what they look like and how they're going to be cited, along with some context for the towers and the controversy over the rollout. I just put that in the chat. I assume that the information is factual, but as we've heard from our guests tonight, not all information is completely well understood. So hopefully that provides some context for anybody with a question about what they look like and where they're landing and whatnot.
Great, very helpful. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate that. Okay, and seeing no other raised hands, I'm gonna keep us moving along. All right, who is next? Angel.
Maggie McDermott with Deputy Speaker Ayala's office.
All right, Maggie, you got 3. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Angel and Xavier. So I'm going to start off. My name is Maggie McDermott. I'm the Director of Special Projects, and I work for the Office of the New York City Council's Deputy Speaker, Diana Ayala. I'm going to start off with legislation/hearings. On March 3rd, Deputy Speaker Ayala's General Welfare Committee is hosting a right to counsel oversight hearing. Full details in regards to this hearing can be found on the City Council's website. They are interested in hearing about the successes of the program as well as its recent challenges with staffing, court hearings, and other related projects. Deputy Speaker Ayala and her fellow council members recently passed, actually, 2 of her bills were passed last week and were signed into law by the mayor today. This collection of bills will ensure better accessibility requirements and help inform the council on ways in which they can improve accessibility conditions in our shelters and affordable housing developments. I'm going to move on to the budget. Please be advised that all non-for-profit community-based organizations that wished to apply for discretionary funding for fiscal year 2024 should have submitted the council application today. Today, February 21st, was the deadline to apply for fiscal year 2024 discretionary funding. I'm going to move on to applications that were not submitted within the filing period for the community-based organizations will not be eligible for funding. Capital funding for non-city organizations for fiscal year 2024. Non-city organizations applying for fiscal year 2024 capital funding can now download and submit the application at the CAP grants portal. Those applications are due Thursday, February 23rd by 5 p.m. I'm going to move on because I want to accommodate you with some information about the MTA. The MTA Second Avenue subway hearing will be held on March 15th. The MTA has an impending action to initiate the second tranche of Second Avenue subway Phase 2 property acquisitions. The first property acquisition for this project was in 2021. The second action will allow the MTA to advance acquisition of the remainder of the property needed to deliver SAS2, as well as give the FTA the confidence that the MTA has all elements it needs in place to effectively execute the project. This action is part of the eminent domain process and will require notification to the impacted property owners, and a public hearing will allow for public comment on the action. The hearing notice will be publicized this week.
Right. Thank you, Maggie. We got that too. And great you brought it up. Because we're going to have a meeting on that a week from today, the Second Avenue Subway Task Force. Look forward to having you. That was 3 minutes. Sorry. Do you?
Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you,
Beverly,
sir.
come on.
Thank you. Oh, we have questions. Wait, I see Jessica and some Michelle.
Yeah, Beverly, then Michelle, then
Yes.
Jeff. Go ahead, your question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deborah, for the presentation. In regards to the right to counsel, you said that's going to be a meeting. Can you give me the date as to when that's going to be when they're going to have this meeting for people to put their 2 cents in?
Right. The right to counsel is on March 3rd, 2023. So it's March 3rd. It's next week.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful question. Michelle Wiltshire Clement.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I wanted to verify that you said that the MTA would be taking some spaces via eminent domain. Are some of these places businesses, and have they been informed of what will happen?
I really don't have those details. I can ask the member and let you know. I would be more than happy to do so. My information is in the contact box. Would you like to reach out to me, or I can just relay your inquiry to the member and find out,
I will give you a call.
Okay.
Thank you. Jessica Morris, last question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, Maggie, and congratulations to the member on the legislation.
Thank
It's not
you.
easy to get things passed, and 3 bills is no small feat. If it's possible to access, and maybe I will reach out with regard to the accessibility legislation that the council member is working on. I'm curious to learn more and better understand how that may tie in with other frames of retrofit that are often needed but difficult to support in affordable and supportive housing buildings. The last point of question, Xavier, this is maybe just a point of clarification for you and other board members. You mentioned really quickly, the board will, through its Second Avenue Subway Task Force, be taking up the issue with regard to eminent domain in more detail a week from today, next Tuesday evening, correct?
We will be having Joe O'Donnell come to present on exactly the announcement that Maggie made. He's coming to give a debrief so community members can participate in that conversation as he gives us all the information. We'll have everything posted that was circulated via email from the Deputy Speaker's office today. So, and thank you for sending that, Maggie. It was very serendipitous that we had full board tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Everybody have a great night. I'll still be on. So if you have any questions, you can chat me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maggie. Appreciate you. Okay, moving on. Who's next?
Marco Paris from the District Attorney's Office.
Marco, no stranger to us. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Xavier. Thank you for the introduction. Again, my name is Marco Perez Jr. I'm the East Harlem Community Engagement Coordinator for the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg Jr. I do have a couple of announcements. The Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg Jr. in partnership with the CUNY Institute for State and Local Governance and announced a $9 million RFP to address mental health and substance abuse. Essentially, what this RFP is an initiative that aims to meet people where they are and connect them with comprehensive wraparound community services such as housing assistance, treatment for mental illness, and substance use disorders. We took input from community-based organizations in Manhattan to see what they thought would be best strategies for creating a strong, stable, and safe communities. And out of these inputs, we created this initiative. It's going to be a $9 million RFP that's going to be divided up into 2 dual initiatives. $6 million is going to be allocated towards neighborhood navigators. Essentially, these are highly trained professional individuals that'll be approaching people who are suffering from substance abuse and mental health illness in the community and try to connect them to services. Then we have up to $3 million that's going to be allocated towards court-based navigators, which are going to be highly trained in professional individuals that will be doing the same work as neighborhood navigators, but have an extra layer of focus concentrating on people who are recidivists and come in constant contact with the criminal justice system. The Manhattan DA's office is providing these awards through our criminal justice initiative, which was created with millions of dollars seized from major banks in course of criminal investigations. This RFP is still open. If anybody wants any more information on that, please feel free to contact me. I put my contact information in the chat. Secondly, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, in partnership with the New York City Mayor's Office, announced a partnership with local law enforcement and elected officials to combat the proliferation of illegal, unlicensed cannabis dispensaries across the borough of Manhattan. The Manhattan DA's office is partnering with the mayor's office in this collaborative enforcement effort that will protect New Yorkers from the fledgling legal cannabis industry as the well-being and health of consumers, especially our young New Yorkers. How we're going to do this is a good question that people want to know. The DA's office mailed letters to more than 400 known smoke shops in Manhattan, warning them of potential eviction proceedings for unlawful cannabis sales. Specifically, the letter informs the commercial entities of these offices that our office is prepared to use its civil authority under the Real Property Actions and Proceeding laws to require owners and landlords to evict people who are committing illegal sales of cannabis. Other than that, lastly, surely not least, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is having our high school summer internship program. Essentially, what this program does is give high school students an opportunity to engage in civic engagement, learn about leadership, workshops, and attend our mentorship program, really just learning about the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, what are different units and or divisions. A good example I have about how great this program, almost 3 minutes is up.
Your 3 minutes is up, but that's my question. Give me that example real quick, and then I'm gonna go to Beverly, who has her hand raised.
Perfect. A quick example of how great this program is. We had a high school summer internship student come in last summer, and they noticed that that our website, Manhattan District Attorney's website, does not have an escape button. And the reason why this individual brought this up is because she was doing work around domestic violence. And when people are suffering a domestic violence and they're seeking help, they want to make sure that their offender and or perpetrator is not supervising them if they're trying to gain help. So this intern suggested that we put an escape button on our website. And in doing so, a person who's suffering in silence for domestic violence is able to locate our website, locate our services and our contact information. And if a person was to walk into that room while they're looking up our organization and office, they'll be able to hit an escape button and it would look like they were never looking at the Manhattan DA's office.
That is cool. As a former computer programmer, I really like that, and the synergy
Yeah.
there is really neat. Wonderful. Beverly, your question.
Yes, thank you, Marco, for the presentation. My question is regarding the $9 million RFP for housing and mental illness and help people to where they are. With not harm reduction centers that's operating in East Harlem be allowed to apply for this type of RFP also?
If you're referring to the harm reduction centers, I do not believe so, but I want to make sure that I have the most accurate information. Please feel free to email me. I know that we're looking for service providers, but I want to make sure I have a clarity on what that means so we can have an offline conversation about that.
All right, thank you so very much.
No problem.
Thank you, Marco, for being here. I don't see any other hands, so I'm going to move us along. So we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Who's next, Angel?
Tiffany Brown with the Community Affairs Unit at the Mayor's Office.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, Xavier. Good evening, Angel, and all that's on. I do have two announcements that I want to report. The mayor has launched Breaking Bread building bonds. Breaking Bread and Building Bonds is a citywide initiative to combat the rise in hate crimes in many communities across the city and foster mutual understandings between New York's diverse neighborhoods. Aims to organize 1,000 meals citywide with a group of 10 to 12 New Yorkers at each meal. The program builds on an initiative that was launched when Mayor Adams served as Brooklyn Borough President. If you're interested in hosting a dinner or learning more about the initiative, you can visit www.nyc.gov/breaking-bread. And I've also put that link in the chat along with my information. And I also want to report that the mayor has announced, and he has his first ever mayor's office of child care and early childhood education created. Mayor Adams reaffirmed the city's commitment to families by creating the mayor's office for child care and early childhood education. Bills off of the mayor's blueprint for child care and early childhood education will focus on ensuring New York City's families have access to high quality and affordable early education and care. And I don't have the link for that, but if anyone is interested in that, you can please feel free to reach out to me and I will get you all the information for that. And I'll also make sure that CB11 gets it as well. And that's all I have to report.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tiffany. And
Oh,
thank you.
sorry. And just again, all my information is in the chat for if you have any issues or concerns and you need to reach out to someone. I am your Manhattan Borough Director in the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, and all of that information, all of my information is in the chat for you as well. Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. A question from Michelle. Michelle?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it, and I'm really excited about the Breaking Bread program. However, I would like to find out what happens to the excess food afterwards. is it being, because a lot of the times people would put that excess food into food pantries. However, if it's already at that, in that space, will it be placed into compost, or what would happen to that excess food?
Oh, hold on. Well, okay, well, I don't know, because as of right now, my understanding is that these breaking bread meals are taking place at like, so far we've had restaurants that have been hosting them. So what the restaurants are doing with the food afterwards, I can't speak to that. And
Okay,
that's pretty
I didn't
much how,
understand that. Mhm.
right. So if you want to host one, it can be a restaurant, it could be yourself. You can go on and register to host one and have the mayor come. It could be one that he's invited to. It can go a whole lot of ways. So like I said, as of right now, they've been hosted at restaurants, and what the restaurant is doing with the leftover food, I can't speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
May I have a follow-up question?
Real quick, Michelle.
So it's starting to dawn on me. It's more so to invite conversation.
Absolutely.
Is that the
Yes.
purpose? Oh,
It's
okay.
it's to bring New Yorkers together so you can come up with, so you can voice your concerns, your issues, opinions, and then come up with solutions.
Okay, thank you so much. You've definitely opened it up for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Tiffany, and thank you for taking the time to meet with me earlier in the month. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. No.
In this space. Okay, I think we had Sophia Secor from Senator Serrano's office is our last elected official who signed up, I believe.
Hey everyone, first
Hey.
off, happy Black History Month. And the senator is very proud to be representing everybody in Albany right now. We are in session. It's been very busy. This past weekend was the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislators Caucus weekend. And the senator spent the weekend learning and meeting with many different groups in the community, and it was really great. This past month in the district, the senator was happy to join We Act for Environmental Justice to discuss legislative priorities to create a healthier and more environmentally safe living space in New York. And he also joined in on the tour of Harlem and South Bronx to learn about environmental improvements that need to be made in the district. He also joined Senator Gillibrand and Schumer to announce a $5 million grant that is being given to the Universal Hip Hop Museum. And in Albany, the senator chaired the first Cultural Affairs, Tourism, Parks, and Recreation meeting of this year, or this legislative session. And among the session, they covered bills to help connect people to more parks, create cultural districts, and help keep the parks clean. As always, if you're in need of assistance, we're available at our district office Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is at 335 East 100th Street, or you can just call us and our number is 212-828-5829. And I will also drop my information in the chat. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being in this space. Any questions for Sophia? Not seeing any hands raised. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will look forward to having him back from Albany so we can take a walk through in the neighborhood. All right. Okay. Any other public, any other elected officials or their representatives sign up?
Other than the borough president's office, I see none.
Okay, then. All right, we will move on to the borough president's report. Porfirio Figueroa.
Thank you, Chair Santiago. My name is Porfirio Figueroa.
You're muted. You're muted.
My apologies, the button didn't click. Thank you, Chair Santiago. My name is Porfirio Figueroa, and I am the Community Board Liaison for the Manhattan Borough President to Community Boards 11 and 12. I wanted to take the time to thank everyone who came to the State of the Borough last month, where the Manhattan Borough President presented his housing report titled the Housing Manhattanites Report, which laid out a vision of where and how we can build housing opportunities identified at 171 sites citywide, which was would represent an affordable housing increase on a historic scale to benefit our borough and our city. I will post that report in the chat. Our community board applications portal is open. So if you are up for a reappointment, or if you want to have your voice heard, if you are invested in your neighborhood and you want to make a difference in civic government, please apply directly to the link. And our website is at www.manhattanbp.nyc.gov. And the deadline is March the 17th. Our Black History Month celebration is Monday, February 27th at 6 p.m. at the Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial Education Center at 3940 Broadway at 165th Street. You can register at events@manhattanbp.nyc.gov. Last, I want to say that the Manhattan Borough President's Capital Funding Portal is open. However, the deadline is this Thursday, February 23rd at 5 p.m. sharp. And you can schedule an allotted time to sit with our budgets team to discuss the application process to best have your application reviewed. And you can go to manhattanbp.nyc.gov/funding/. And that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, Porfirio. Any questions? Beverly, your question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Figueroa, regarding your report. In regards to the Black History event, can you give me those dates again?
Sure. It is this coming Monday, February the 27th at 6 p.m. at the Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial Education Center at 3940 Broadway at 165th Street. I will post all these things in the chat.
Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome, Beverly. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bev. I don't see any other hands raised. So one thing I will say at the application, thank you for getting up. I spoke to Trish. Make sure you will have 2 questions at the bottom. But you have to select either new member or existing member, and then your questions will populate. Please copy and paste them, put them into a separate Word doc, which they recommend in the application, so you can work on your thoughtful responses. That's the only bit of recommendation I'm going to give, but thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other hands raised, that concludes our publicly elected officials. All right, we're going to move along now, and we've already done our roll call. Going to move on to our business session, which we will not be adopting the board minutes. They will be provided in March. The secretary will have them to us at that time. We're going to go on to the chair's report. Let me pull my notes up real quick. I submitted everything, and I appreciate everyone's patience with one another, with our community and our advocacy and our work. Just a quick note in spreading goodwill. I've said at a couple meetings, committee level, that words, both written and spoken, are most inexhaustible resource, yet we err. And that's why I implore everyone just to lean in a little bit more. Sometimes we are trying to formulate, or we are actively thinking while talking, and it's about an interchange of ideas and energy. And I think that's important when we often, I try to pause myself with not having a snap judgment on what are they trying to say, what do they mean, rather just, contemplative listening. And I think the more we do that with not just one another as we advocate for our community, but also with members of the public and the constituents we represent, we're going to be able to find commonality and really accomplish so much more. So that was one of the overriding notes I wanted to share with you and the public, is that we just continue to lean in, and the conversations make it sticky. They make it a little messy, but we know we're coming from an earnest and loving place. There's no end to what we can accomplish. Most of this is just information purposes only. I do want to say is that I appreciate the borough president constantly leaning in, speaking of leaning in, about the needs of our community that are often been neglected. He had his land use presentation on January 26th. He laid into and leaned into the fact that we do have issues here, and we need more affordable housing despite the rezoning. We did raise the warehousing of properties, and they are doing more research into that. But our neighborhood was called out not just for that, but also during his borough president's state of the borough event that I was very glad to attend with Rosa Diaz, John Green, and a few other board members. He talked about the fact that we need our tree canopy, that we need to increase that. Again, we got a lot of call outs in a positive way of the needs to be met. Let's see right here. Big compliment to a lot of you board members. I've been seeing you coming out there, and so is the public. Even though we still have the remnants of COVID, the triple demic or whatever they're rebranding it as, the community and the public are noticing that we're present and that we're standing up and we're listening. So I just want to say, give yourselves a pat on the back. You're doing a great job. Keep doing so, and I look forward to seeing many more of you as we start and get into the spring and summer months. I did, again, one of the things, chasing down and the stick-to-itiveness, if you will, with our relationships with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. I want to give a shout out to Isaac Scott and all the work he's doing, and all the committee members on Human Services. We are trying to bridge that gap with the agency. I want to give, could you please mute yourself? Okay, moving on. I want to again remind everyone that we are working with rebuilding that relationship, and I want to give a shout out to Tiffany Brown and to Valerie Vasquez from the Community Affairs Unit. They are really trying to help get us that data and that rebuild that relationship. So it's important. We did attend Porfirio and myself. Let me just go back over here. We went to attend at the Association to Benefit Children, which is a school on 126th Street there, and listen to the parents. And I'm not going to speak for Porfirio, but he and I were quite moved by the commentary of what they're experiencing over there. There is some traction we're getting, but we're still keeping our eyes on the ball with what's going on there and how it's impacting the children there and the parents. Let's see right here. Bear with me. The Community Advisory Council with El Museo del Barrio, thing to point out, it is the lease for El Museo expires on July 25th with DCAS. All of the entities, including El Museo, are subtenants of the LDC, who's the landlord. They are looking at ways to how they can improve the building, because every couple months they have to apply for a temporary certificate of occupancy. They really want to stay in the space. This is a historical institution, and they're looking at ways that they can maintain this home, as DCAS does not want to invest in the improvements. So it's something to pay attention to, because this is how we lose our cultural institutions. Big announcement from Children's Aid Society that they have pushed forward and signed their contract with Oren Everhard. This has been a long road to toe. I want to say thank you to David and Asher, who were both there, and just the advocacy to making a return to Mecca, if you will, in the sense that we have actually been able to bring Children's Aid back, and all of us have been able to advocate for what the community wants. And then the last bit right here, Friends of La Marqueta, that's an ongoing monthly meeting. Many of you may recall that the 25 million allocated by our former Speaker of the City Council, Melissa Mark-Viverito, had allocated 25 mil. It's a drop in the bucket now because of the viaduct work they're going to begin shortly this year. Will push off the continued renovations, and we are looking at a new reimagining of what the space will look like. Obviously, noise being an issue. How do we create more foot traffic? In the end, it was concluded that they're going to have to provide a Delta construction budget, which is best way to put it is like, what is the worst case scenario, the amount of money we'd spend in investing in the construction there. On that, any questions, let me know. I'm accessible. We will also, on the last little note, all the previous chairs, Diane, Matthew, Nilsa, even go back to Robert, they would have these quarterly or get-togethers with the chairs from other community boards. Very proud to announce that we're coming back to that, and Community District 11 is going to host the first one, so we can actually unify and help advocate for all of our neighborhoods. So thank you. Jessica Morris, you have a question?
I'm trying to lean in and listen slowly. Thank you, Xavier, for the extensive chair report. Just point of clarification on La Marqueta and the need for dollars without a clear vision necessarily. I do understand that there is various phases of design work happening and that La Marqueta has a historic footprint that's embedded in a longstanding culture through East Harlem, but that there is also an extended footprint under the jurisdiction of the managing agency, EDC, that connects to some of the pipeline projects underway in the district. In some ways, it's a bit of a sleeping giant in the heart of East Harlem that parallels the Second Avenue subway in some ways, literally. I know that it's difficult to feel like there's some traction and urgency when the ball keeps moving and the target keeps changing. But I would love to hear more concrete points of feedback and accountability from home. And I'm recalling that perhaps it was dissolved at some point. It's a little bit difficult to really wrap one's brain around as the institutional memory fades further and further away. So glad to hear that history is being cultivated through active engagement, but the kind of urgency of what La Marqueta is now and should continue to be in the future is something that I think we as a board should stay on and actively continue to ask for more transparency and feedback from the group that was formed in response to the rezoning and the work there and Friends of La Marqueta. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try to summarize briefly. I've been asking since, so that people understand, the chair will sit on certain other committees, right? Unless there's an assigned individual case. And in this particular instance, the chair of Community Board 11, and by extension of invitation, those original chairs that were involved. So in this case, Matthew Washington will occasionally show up with that institutional knowledge. Nils will occasionally show up because, again, we are all ushering forth. And I've asked for, because of the viaduct, and I appreciate you asking about this because I think in totality, it's good for all of us to be aware that viaduct work that's beginning later this year is going to push back the potential reinvestment into La Marqueta and subsequent adjoining blocks that could be foreseen as an extension thereof. I've asked for specifically, and it was my request for a Delta construction budget on the previous plans, so that way we know where we're going before we go in through a reimagination process, if you will. So I look forward to sharing that. And again, this request literally just happened this last meeting. The Deputy Speaker's office is organizing those meetings, as well as and CB11 sits there along with others, including EDC. So that's that. And again, it is an important cultural component for our neighborhood. And luckily, they were able to say that the viaduct work will not hit there before the end of the year. So which means we can use that space for a lot of our celebratory moments like Day of the Dead and the holidays. So that's a positive there. So I'm just going to keep things moving.
May I just clarify? Sorry, Xavier, technically it's 8 blocks underneath the viaduct that then connects to additional blocks worth of variously utilized space underneath the Metro North tracks to where it becomes the new public plaza at 124th Street, operated by Uptown Grand Central. Is that? It's 8 blocks currently.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that, but I'm talking about Friends of La Marqueta. They're first starting with the original appropriation, and there's a presentation that just got sent, and that's something that we're going to be reporting back on. I've asked them if they, I believe it's David, I think from EDC, if he can come and give an update once we've moved a little bit further ahead. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Eugene, your question?
Yeah, my question is about what's going on at the Hexa building where Museo del Barrio is.
Yeah, exactly what I shared with the Community Advisory Council is that right now hold on, let me go pull up the minutes. Bear with me, Eugene. I just had closed that out. Yeah, just there. Yeah, so they're looking at expanding within the Heckscher building. The issue that is going on is that they're all entities, they're subtenants. So DCAS right now at the moment does not want to invest the money, but however, MOCA is looking at ways they can invest the money because they're all subtenants. So that's what's going on right now. There's no plan to leave. They're just doing the planning now. So not to create alarms and excursions in that regard.
Well, it's very alarming to me because I know that's one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in the neighborhood. And plus it's a cultural institution. And I'd like to know what the city's designs are for that.
And that's what we walked away asking for more detail on that. And Patrick and the rest have agreed to provide that information. So as a report back, giving a cursory, that's what the initial brain dump was. And so I've asked for more detail because I think that's important for us to make the community at large aware. The challenge here, though, is that there's still more information forthcoming, but they want to invest into the structure for a long-term planning. So, and that's where their sites are focused on. So
yeah, I understand. Excuse me for the crosstalk, but I understand the museo's position. But there are a lot of other organizations in that building, and I mean, I understand it's going to cost $65 million to make the repairs there. And we should be on that case because we can't afford to let this place go.
I don't disagree with you at all. So again, I'm taking some notes and this is stuff we initially discussed and we're going to be meeting again next month.
I'd like to be involved in that, please.
I will circle back to you and give you a call sometime tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to keep us moving on. Thank you for the good questions back and forth. On to our district manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. A few of the previous speakers have taken points that I wanted to highlight, but I did want to point out, as listed in my DM report, that on February 28th, City Council's Committee on Governmental Operations will hold a hearing on appointing and supporting community boards. The hearing will be held in council chambers starting at 10 a.m. My other points were referenced earlier in regards to the MTA and the eminent domain proceedings for the properties being taken for the planned Second Avenue subway, the second phase of Second Avenue subway, as well as a reminder to board members that are up for reappointment that the board member application portal is open and the deadline being the 17th. In my district manager's reports, I've listed out by name those board members that are on the list for reappointment this year. And one last quick thing, it's been referenced in earlier meetings, but didn't actually exist until recently, is we've embedded into the land use landmarks and planning committee page on our website a tracker of land use and landmarks applications that have been reviewed or currently under review by the board. I'm inserting a link to that page. Just scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see the tracker there. So it's currently set for the last 6 years. Prior to that, you'll also see a note for applications prior to that, you'll also see a note on the page pointing visitors to that page to the Department of City Planning's zoning application portal, which has a longer history of materials relative to land use applications all across the city. And you can select by district and of course find the ones for our district. That's all I have.
Great. Any questions for Angel? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Thank you very much. Now moving on to our officer reports. Jessica Elliott, our vice chair, do you have a report this month?
Hi, Chair. I do not have a report, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Our treasurer is out and excused. Moving on to Michelle, our secretary, do you have a report?
I do not have a report at this time.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to our committee reports and action items. District needs and budget. Stephanie Arroyo is excused tonight. Good. All right. Second Avenue Subway Task Force. It's information purposes only. Thank you for those board members who did attend. Just give me a moment to pull it up. A lot of this is information purposes only. We're going to have our meeting next Tuesday. Joe O'Donnell is going to come back and present and give us an update exactly what Maggie McDermott was talking about that was sent over email for our opportunity to publicly comment. I would greatly welcome you to participate on that. He'll be able to explain in further detail how that all lays out. I want to give a special shout out to our our task force members who are bringing forth ideas and recommending people for our subway station stops. We're going to be diving into that and making a selection of those groups that are going to participate. And that covers everything. And we should have that presentation, I believe, on our website that Joe gave earlier in the month. With that, that concludes the task force meeting. Jessica Morris, you have your hand raised.
I do. I have a question and a comment. A number of times I've been by and stopped in at the storefront that they have. In order to get into the storefront, yeah, you have to knock and wave and wait. It doesn't look like there's anybody in there. And the material that's there is not dissimilar to the material that was showcased. It's engineering heavy. And I made the comment, and I just want to bring it to the table with full board, even though I'm wary of time, suggested that there be an approach that highlights some of the outreach aspects and educational development work that MTA is actively doing, that I think we have prioritized in some of the feedback and points of concern from various committees throughout at least my history of being involved with the board with regard to this being a generational opportunity to engage. So, I'll put a note in an email, but I do want to bring up the fact that I suggested that there be some consideration about the material being presented there and that opportunity to showcase and help us better understand, us being the public, better understand what work MTA is doing in response to our community-based asks, including
Please mute.
Thanks, Jose. Including a lot of capacity building amongst ownership along Second Avenue that we as community members are not able to do, that because of the nature of being MTA, they get responses. So
Or collaboration, if I'm hearing you correctly, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you
So
do me a
thank
favor?
you.
No, thank you, Jessica. Do me a favor. If you would just bullet point those thoughts, I will forward them to Joe as soon as I get them. Okay. And then we can see if he can prepare some kind of comments for next Tuesday. Will be more efficient. Okay.
It's a long relationship. No hurry, but thank you. Yes.
No,
I
but
will.
like we can have a bite of the apple sooner than later because he's going to be there next Tuesday. So I can ping that across as a
Thank
recommendation.
you.
Awesome. Thanks. Wonderful. Seeing no other hands, I'm going to move us along. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for making this efficient. Licenses and permits. Adem, you're up. Please read through all of them. And then I'm going to bundle the committee's recommendations like we've done in the past months.
Okay, no problem. Good evening, everybody. So I'll jump right in. Number one was a recommendation to approve the application of the Steinway Cafe and Espresso Bar doing business as Mona Cafe for a new full liquor license for a restaurant at 76 East 116th Street on Park Avenue. Number two was to recommend the approval of the application of El Patio de Fela LLC to renew a full liquor license for a restaurant at 2253 3rd Avenue. That's on 123rd Street. Number three was to recommend to approve the application of El Paso 116 Corp. To renew a wine and beer license for a restaurant at 237 East 116th Street. That's on 2nd Avenue. Number four was to recommend to approve the application of El Paso Deli Restaurant Corp. To renew a full liquor license for a restaurant located at 64 East 97th Street on Park Avenue. Next slide, please. So that was it for the liquor licenses. We do have one in new business. So for the street activity permits, number 5, Sunshine Carnival Street Festival, April 6th, setups 2 a.m. breakdown is then 10 days later on April 16th at 9 p.m. Location is East 109th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. It's a full street closure. The committee recommended that that application be approved. Number 6 was the 116th Street Festival. Begins June 9th, set up at 7 p.m. It ends on June 10th at 5:30 p.m. It's at 2 locations. The first is 3rd Avenue between East 106th and East 122nd Street. The second location is East 116th Street between Lexington and 2nd Avenue. It's a full street closure. The committee recommended that that application be approved. Number 7, Back to Beautiful. August 26th is the start date at 9 a.m. and it ends at 6 p.m. on the same day. Location is East 128th Street between Lexington and 3rd Avenue. It's a full street closure. The committee recommended that that application be approved. And then number 8, it was not a street activity permit. It was a recommendation to deny the application of American Dream Car and Limo Service to renew a livery-based station license at 297 Pleasant Avenue. And I'll just say now, so we could maybe avoid the questions on this one, they didn't submit anything for number 8, nor did they attend the meeting. So that was why we denied it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, see that there are none. I would like to bundle these as we've done on the many months past to the committee's recommendation number 1, 2. Jessica, you had a question?
I do, just a question. It's a little bit, so I know that we are going to be addressing a separate permit request, and the reason that that is being addressed separately outside of the licenses and permits business is because they did not present or attend licenses and permits. Is that correct?
Are we talking about the one in new business tonight?
Yes.
So, I mean, Xavier, I don't know if you want me to talk on this now or talk on this later.
So I will go into detail. It will fall under new business. There was confusion about how we count votes when it comes to abstentions, both in an affirmative case or approval case or in a denial case. And that's how we got here, is because there was confusion on that. And both motions didn't carry, which is why it's being brought before this full body due to the 30-day filing period. And I will refresh everyone about, and I'll take this opportunity right now and if you look in our bylaws per the city charter, our bylaws, in order for a motion to pass or to carry, it has to have a half plus 1, right? So whatever our quorum is, so it has to be, say if we have a total of 50 members here and all are in attendance, it would have to be 26 votes yes to approve whatever the motion is for it to carry. And that is per the city charter and our bylaws. And that's how we are structured. And in this case, both motions had too many abstentions. And again, there are certain reasons why you would abstain. This has been submitted during your onboarding materials. And again, in both the motion to support, too many people abstain, so they get calculated as a no, right? They're not technically a no, but they are not counted in an affirmative sense. So therefore the motion does not carry. And they tried to deny, and the same thing, too many abstentions. So the motion to deny did not carry. So that is what happened. And that's why it is before us in new business. Now that the committee, and we all make mistakes, has clarity on that. Does that answer your question, Jess?
Yes, thank you for the clarification, Chair.
Thank you. Eugene, you had a question. You are muted, Eugene. Eugene, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like you to call the question. That discussion can go on in new business.
Yes, that discussion. Yes, thank you. I just want to make sure you did not have a question before the agenda item below, but as it pertains to the committee report as well, why it was excluded. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to move forward with bundling all of these. Number 1 is to approve a new liquor license. Number 2 is to approve a renew a full liquor license, which is number 1-333-028. 3 is to approve a renewal, number 1-333-0488. Number 4 is to approve a renewal license, which is 1-2-11956. Number 5 is Sunshine Carnival, number 686-510. Number 6 is 116th Street Festival, number 685-331. Number 7, Back to Beautiful, is number, 685-338 to approve. Number 8 is to deny the renewed livery-based station, for the community events. They were all recommended to be approved and the livery was to deny. Okay. Is there, Jessica Elliott, you had your hand raised.
Motion to approve the committee's recommendations.
Okay, I'd like to second that. Carlos. Okay, Carlos, thank you. Please call the roll.
Jose Altamirano. Leroy Adino.
Yes.
April Autry.
Yes.
Adam Briha.
Yes.
Jihad Tawdry. Diane Collier. Yes. Devon Crunchow, I'm sorry. Devon. Kenneth Crouch.
Yes.
Carlos Diaz.
Yes.
Rosa Diaz.
Yes.
Angela Donadell.
Yes.
Jessica Elliott.
Yes.
Judith Febrero.
Yes.
Raja Flores.
Yes.
Osendi Garcia. Osendi. Brandon Gillespie. David Giordano.
Yes.
John Green.
Aye.
Alonzo Johnson. Jewel Jones.
Yes.
Marissa Mack.
Yes.
Giselle Malave.
Yes.
Malik McCullough. Malik. I'll come back. Okay. Jennifer Mayer.
Yes.
Jessica Morris.
Yep.
Nilsa Rama. Nilsa. I'll come back. Beverly Pabon.
Yes.
Arturo Perez.
Yes.
Claudia Perez. Roberto Perez. Javasia Robertson Teg. Asha Rodriguez.
Yes.
Asher. Okay, heard you. Eugene Rodriguez.
Yes.
Don Sanders. Xavier Santiago.
Yes.
Isaac Scott.
Yes.
Russell Schuler.
Yes.
Vincent Torres.
Yes.
Anne Marie Vasquez.
Yes.
Candy Vives Vasquez. Michelle Wilshire Clement. Yes. Jordan
Candy
Wright.
Vasquez, yes.
Candy, did you just say yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
sorry. This is also Nilsa Arama. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Nilsa.
Thank you, honey.
Jordan Wright. And Jason Wu. Jason? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much, Michelle. With that, Adam, we'll have you stand by when we get to the new business item. So thank you very much. I'm going to move us along to our next committee, which should be on your agenda, Environment, Open Space and Parks. Jessica Elliott, floor is
Thank you,
yours.
Chair. I won't go through our meeting minutes. There's always some great things to learn in there if you have time to review it. We do have 4 action items on the table today. Hoping potentially that we can bundle them. But the first is a resolution in support of the Manhattan Borough President Office's Million More Trees campaign. The second is a resolution in support of Pop-Up Forest Urban Forestry Initiative. These 2 were heard at our last meeting in January, and we voted this month on those items. The third is public comment regarding the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, New York and New Jersey Harbor and Tributaries Focus Area Feasibility Study, the HAT study. This was heard on our January meeting, and we took our time to put this together in response before the end of the deadline this upcoming month. The fourth is a presentation that we heard this month, which was regarding the Thomas Jefferson Park restroom design and installation. This was asked to be expedited by the Department of Parks and Recreations to implement a pilot installation of a single-use restroom at Thomas Jefferson Park. Let me know if you have any questions.
Great. Any questions for Jess? Jessica Morris, your question.
Thank you. And I know everybody's probably sick of hearing about me and wants to be done with the meeting already, but it's my question is with regard to item number 11, the HAT study. And I was not able to attend the meeting, though I respect that the committee took their time. It's a huge potential effect, and I think there's a significant amount of issue being taken with the Army Corps plan with regard to the impact that ultimate implementation will have on not only waterfront access, but also upland resiliency measures, which is what is mentioned in your letter and cited for consideration by the Army Corps. I commend the committee for taking this on. It's an enormous task. I think the strength of the argument and the language for what's at stake. I understand you were presented with a plan, and I think with the work that's being done by EDC on the Esplanade and those 2 things, I guess my question is, did they seem to be in conflict? Because my sense is that there would be some significant conflict with the amount of well-intentioned design work that's going into the reinvestment in our Esplanade specifically, and the mega walls and raising of that edge that is proposed by the Army Corps. So I don't know. I think we're at the deadline, and seeing this now, there's not much that can be done.
We did note that,
but I have concern.
Yeah, we did note that in the letter or the comment that, especially after speaking with Parks, as we've been on all these tours for the Esplanade and the sort of pier and all of those conversations, I think the recognition is that this project is in planning phases. It's not yet choosing if a final design, it's not yet funded or approved. And so it's very early stages for the HAT study. The work that's going on with EDC and Parks is funded, planned, and in process of execution. So there is not necessarily conflict, but I think there is potential for conflict, which we are aware of and we made note of. I would hope that, as the HAT study continues forward in reality, that those jurisdictions would have conversations about the impacts on those projects. But we are well aware of the impact on or potential impact on the Esplanade projects, and as is Parks and EDC. And we're looking forward to coordinating on that as everything moves forward.
Thank you. And just a point of follow-up with regard to quoting the bathtub effect, I think with recognition of the enormity of the study area and the understanding that it is a mega undertaking, that the unique conditions of each individual area that are impacted need to be considered. And I think that's something where East Harlem's condition topographically and hydrologically is fundamentally different than the Rockaways, right? We
Yes.
understand that. And I think that's
And-
something to continue to drive home in opportunities like this, to not think that a blanket effect will solve the problem.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
we spoke about that directly with the U.S. Army Corps when they presented, and I don't think that they were aware of our interior drainage issues. So they made note of that, and I think it will be, hopefully top of mind as they continue to, navigate this huge process. But as a note, we've also, continued to request in the statement of district needs and budgets the need for green infrastructure in the interior of our neighborhood. Michelle?
Thank you, Jessica. Michelle, your question.
I just wanted to add to, for point of clarification for Jessica, they gave us a very large packet of information, about 600 pages of information on the research that they have done, because I truly wanted to dislike anything with a wall in nature. And it seemed like they had done a lot of due diligence, and I think you would really benefit from reading this information. If you could if you do have it available, Jessica.
I can
you
put it in
that
the chat. Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
First. Thank you both for your questions and comments.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Let's see, I'd like to combine all 4 of these items into one bundled motion. Number 9 is a resolution supporting Manhattan Borough President's Office, Million More Trees campaign. A motion to support was made by Michelle Wetzel Clement, seconded by Connie Lee, and passed unanimously. Number 10, resolution in support of a pop-up urban forestry initiative. A motion to support was made by Michelle Wiltshire Clement and seconded by Connie Lee, passed with 1 abstention, Diane Collier. 11, a public comment regarding the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, New York and New Jersey Harbor and Tributaries Focus Area Feasibility Study, HATS. Should have started with HATS, right? Motion of support was made by Michelle Wiltshire Clement, seconded by Connie Lee, and passed with 1 abstention, Diane Collier. And the final one is the 12 Thomas Jefferson Park restroom design and installation. Michelle Wiltshire Clement motion to support the project with the conditions that DPR provide regular updates to CB11 throughout the design and procurement process, explore the addition of screens for the lower louvers, and provide a maintenance plan to CB11. Diane Collier second, and the motion was passed unanimously. Michelle Wiltshire Clement, you have your hand raised. Do you wish to motion to approve the committee's recommendations?
I do. For all 9, 10, and 11, I would like to make a motion to approve these as they stand.
Let me restate. So you mean 9, 10, 11, and 12? Because there's
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm sorry.
Okay, motion to support the committee's recommendations. Eugene Rodriguez, you have your hand. Do you wish to second?
Yes, I wish to second.
Thank you. It is noted. Please call the roll.
Sorry, I had muted myself again. Jose Altamirano,
Yes.
Leroy Edino,
Yes.
Andino,
Yes.
April Autry.
Yes.
Thank you. Adem Briha,
Yes.
Jahai Chaudhry, Diane Collier. Diane? I'll come back. Devon Cronchow. Kenneth Crouch.
Yes.
Thank you. Carlos Diaz.
Yes.
Rosa Diaz.
Yes.
Angela Donadell.
Yes.
Jessica Elliott.
Yes.
Judith Fabrero.
Approve.
Raha Flores.
Yes.
David Giordano.
Yes.
John Green.
Aye.
Jewel Jones.
Yes.
Marissa Mack.
Yes.
Giselle Malave.
Yes.
Malik McCullough.
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer.
Yes.
Jennifer. Okay. Jessica Morris.
I'm gonna abstain due to the bundle and my position on number 11. Thank you.
In other words, you'd like to have 9, 10, and 12 and not 11?
I believe because of the bundle, I have to.
No,
vote
you may,
once.
you may
No.
carve out that one as a abstain for number 11 if you wish to.
Thank you. Yeah, abstain for 11 and yes to support 9, 10, and 12. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Yes to 9, 10, and 12, abstain for 11.
okay, thank you. Arturo Perez,
Yes.
Claudia Perez, oh wait.
Yes.
Oh, Claudia, you're here, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. Roberto Perez? Okay, so no. Shavasia Robertson Teg? No. Asher Rodriguez?
Yes.
Okay. Eugene Rodriguez?
Yes.
Xavier Santiago?
Yes.
Isaac Scott?
Yes.
Russell Schuler?
Yes.
Please mute. Vincent Torres?
Yes.
Anne-Marie Vasquez?
Yes.
Did you call my name? I didn't hear it.
I'm sorry, who's talking right now?
Judith Sobrero.
Yes, Judith, I did call your name. And you answered.
Thank
Okay,
you.
You're welcome. Candy Vives Vasquez? Okay. Michelle Wilshire Clement, yes. And the other two are not present.
Candy says yes.
Okay, Candy, thank you. And I think there was one other person who hadn't spoken. But if they do, I give it one more second and okay, no. All right, thank you. That is it.
Okay, by my count, the motions all carry, the bundle carries as 9, 10, 11, 12. Thank you, Jess. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we move along?
No, thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm moving on in the agenda. Next, we have housing. John Green.
Thank you, Xavier. Good evening, everybody. Excuse me, it's been a long day. The minutes are for information purposes only, but I would just like to say two things before I end my report. I would like to thank the members of the committee because for their time and their attention during meetings. They ask great questions and they also come with great insights with any topic that's discussed. And also, I would like to also thank Marlene for keeping the meetings moving. Sometimes it gets a little bogged down, but she keeps us moving. She keeps us on point. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. Any questions for John? Okay, not seeing any hands raised. We will move along to land use, landmarks, and planning. Jason Villanueva is out. Nilsa Rama.
Hello, everyone. As our chair said, our other chair from landmarks is out today. So I'm just going to read some notes. In our meeting this month, Ascension provided an update on current and pre-ULURP projects. They also provided an update about the landmarks and preservation in the district, Landmarks East Harlem, and Chris Aurello mentioned that they were awarded for their efforts on the research that they had done. Excel has submitted a fresh application for a fresh food store. George Janes did a write-up, which can be seen on our website, which it summarizes. And basically, we are opening up to the public and the board comment on the project. You can view this on our website or on the YouTube page. And the Landmarks Committee plans to take a position on this item at our March meeting, in which all are welcome. With that, I will end there. And I want to thank you all who attended our land use meeting and those who will attend in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nilsa. Are there any questions for Nilsa? Okay, see it. No hands raised. We'll now move us along to public safety and transportation. We have 3 action items there, and I think Jose is messaging having some connectivity issues. So Michelle, if you would please present the report. Michelle, you're muted.
I'm sorry. We had a very jam-packed meeting, and we had the 2-3, the 2-5. A lot of information was given. It was very positive information. And I was glad that the people that had come to the previous meeting, many were able to come and present once again. So I appreciate for everyone's attention to come on time, and we were able to meet quorum, and that was a very positive thing. Our action items are, and I will read them: motion to support the MTA proposal to adjust the M35 bus back to its M34 routes, and also travel to the Bronx and Queens subway stations for better Randall Island access. And so this was made by me and seconded by Don Sanders, and the motion passed with 1 abstention. The motion to support the Coach Hubert Chuck Griffin co-name application made by me and seconded by Osendi Garcia, the motion passed, and there was 1 abstention, who is our new person, our public member, Sage Mason, for both of them. And then another motion to support the Angel Louise Colon co-naming application made by Carlos Diaz and seconded by Judith Febrero. The motion passed with 1 abstention, which was Sage Mason. He is our new member. And I would like to bundle these 3 action items. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, thank you very much, Michelle. Are there any questions from our board members? Okay, Jessica Morris, the question.
Sorry, just a point of clarification. Welcome, Sage. Do public members vote, either abstention or any? My understanding is that public members. Clarification. Do public members vote?
At the committee level, public members do have the same rights afforded to full board members. They just do not vote at full board. So if they sit on the committees, yes, then they are able to vote. Thank you. Okay.
And he had chosen not to vote at that point since he had just started.
Which he is entitled to do, in that not having enough information that particular time. Beverly, your question.
Yes, can you repeat that again regarding what you just said regarding the other type of members that they have the right to vote?
Okay, so we have full board members, of which you're one, Beverly, as are all the members who are voting tonight and participating. Then you have what are called public members. The public members submit an application to the office, the chair reviews it and appoints them to a committee. They only have the full rights of sitting on that committee and where they may vote and participate in the discussion. Oftentimes, this is a way people get to experience a community board for the first time and really learn whether or not they want to invest more time as a full board member. So that's what that is. I hope that answers.
Yeah, so they're able to also vote
at the committee
level. Only at the committee level.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to move things along. I'd like to, and Michelle and I spoke previously, is to bundle these 3 action items, number 13, 14, and 15. See that no more questions. Motion to support the MTA proposal to adjust M35 bus back to its M34 routes and also travel to the Bronx and Queens subway stations for better Randall's Island access. It's made by Michelle Wilshire Clement. And seconded by Don Sanders. Motion passed with 1 abstention. 14, motion to support the Coach Herbert Chuck Griffin co-naming application made by Michelle Witcher Clement, seconded by Cindy Garcia. And motion to pass with one abstention. And 15, a motion to support the Angel Luis Galon co-naming application made by Carlos Diaz, seconded by Judith Rivera. Motion passed with one abstention. Yes, Jessica Morris, you wish to support the
Make a
committee's
motion. Yes. Motion
Okay.
to support the committee's recommendations for 13, 14, and 15.
Thank you very much. Is there a second, please, Eugene
I'll second
Rodriguez?
it, Carlos, I just can't, my hand doesn't appear on my computer, so please forgive me.
Yeah, well, I get the second then.
You're no problem. You're older than I am anyway, man.
Okay, guys, I need you to just, I'll give it to Eugene this time.
No,
Thanks
no
for
problem.
being legal. Okay.
Okay, so
All right,
I will
please
start
call
the
the roll.
process.
All right.
Jose
Make sure to-
Altamirano,
Yes.
Leroy Andino,
Yes.
April Autry,
Yes.
Adem Briha,
Yes.
Diane Collier. Okay. Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Carlos Diaz,
Yes.
Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Angela Donadel,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott, excuse me,
Yes.
Judith Febrero.
Approved.
Thank you, Judith. Raha Flores,
Yes.
David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Aye.
Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Marissa Mack,
Yes.
Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Malik McCullough. Malik,
Yes, Malik.
thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
thank you. Jessica Morris,
Yes.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Yes.
Arturo Perez,
Yes.
Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Roberto Perez, Roberto. Okay. And Shavasia Robinson Teg is not here. Asher Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez,
Yes.
Don Sanders is not here. Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott. Isaac. Come back. Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Vincent Torres,
Yes.
Anne Marie Vasquez.
Yes.
Thank you. Candy Vasquez, Vives Vasquez.
I'm saying yes, but present not voting on the Angel Cologne street naming. Only because I work for the organization and I presented.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Candy. Michelle Wilshire Clement, yes, for both. And the two are not here. I'm going back to Isaac Scott, who I did not hear from.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. And I think that's all.
Okay,
It is complete.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your efficiency. Okay, moving along, we have next up Human Services, Isaac Scott.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I will do my best to be brief. I'll just mention some of what took place, and I do encourage folks to go back, watch the meeting itself, so you can actually get the meat and potatoes of what some of these presenters were saying. But we did have a particular special announcement from young lady who named Jessica Maldonado, who's doing, she's the founder of an organization called My Doula Angel Alliance. And if you're not familiar with it, what a doula is, doulas are trained professions who provide continuous physical, emotional, and informational support to new families before, during, and shortly after childbirth. So she spoke a lot about, you know, the services that she is working to provide in East Harlem, and the referral service, direct services and referral services she's looking to provide right in East Harlem monthly on 116th Street in Madison. So definitely wanted to just pin that for folks to just go back and check out. If you know any expectant mothers who could use that sort of support, I think that's just really important, especially for young mothers. We had our monthly informational updates from DOHMH, also from East Harlem COAD, also from Bodican, our neighborhood health center. We had updates also from our newest edition, which were cannabis-related updates. Pilar De Jesus is giving us those updates. And the purpose of that, really in short, is to help, one, destigmatize cannabis, but also to help folks get a better understanding of the states of the regulations that are actually being put in place to regulate the distribution of marijuana, because that may not, be clear. There's a lot, of information just being put out, and I'm not sure how much folks are retaining it. So we wanted to make sure that our committee could, just provide some regular updates on that. And a few folks weighed in on that, and I appreciate people for weighing in on that conversation, because it is still very stigmatized, so it's hard for folks to weigh in on it. But I think it was a good conversation, and we're looking forward to what those updates will evolve into. We had three presentations, one from the Public Health Solutions, their Harlem Health Advocacy Partners Program. The HHP is a free community health center, free community health workers in East Harlem, and that's geared. This particular program from the Public Health Solutions is geared specifically towards coaching, advocacy, and health and wellness workshops. So they came and they spoke and presented on that. So yes, definitely encourage folks to go back, look at that. I feel like sorry, just to stop for a second. All of the information that's coming through Human Services is very, very important and very relevant to a lot of what we see every day. A lot of the issues that we're seeing, a lot of the stuff that we kind of step over and step around and have to deal with, So I definitely just want to, in the middle of my report right now, just want to invite people to come to our conversations, weigh in, give your support as we think through these solutions with our with city agencies, with community partners, and with each other. But back to the updates. We had a update from Metropolitan's Hospital's pulmonary clinic, and they really wanted to just come to us to see how they could better do community outreach, how they could expound more on some educational opportunities they have with respects to pulmonary care and what the hospital is offering, patient collaboration and things as such. But they were really much like, how can we collaborate and work with community members more? So I do encourage you to go back to that portion of the meeting, just so you can get the contact information, reach out, and weigh in. I am also being vague so that folks go back and look at the information. I don't want to just pour everything out here. I do want folks to go back, and I would really love it if you went back, just reviewed some of what you're hearing. But finally, we had a presentation from Odyssey House. They were requesting a letter of acknowledgement. They are expanding their license to provide opioid treatment right inside of their facility. So folks who were previously traveling, the streets, going to Mount Sinai to receive services will now receive those services right in house. They came to the board, they presented, they were asked by the state to come before us to let us know. So they were requesting just a letter of acknowledgement that they came before us and let us know. I actually went to their office, met with them prior to them coming. I went to the office, met with them, they explained everything, walked me through their center. They also showed me a lot of their different non-traditional treatment methods, which were very interested in how they, help and coach folks to recovery. Yeah, so we did pass the letter of acknowledgement. We voted on it, we passed it. It's tabled. We'll bring it before everyone next month. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that. I'll leave that one alone. So we actually have to, so it's come back before. I don't want to say too much. I also do want to encourage folks to go back, look at the presentation. Also, I forgot to mention, they did just so you all know, any organization that makes a request to the Human Services Committee as a prerequisite, we do ask that they fill out the organizational assessment form so that we can get the information we need from every organization. So they did fill that out. More than happy to share with you or attach it as an addendum to the minutes if that would be helpful to folks so that they can, also just learn more about Odyssey House, how much they're servicing in East Harlem, what their impact is and such. So I'll leave that there. And lastly, we went through and we made some brief comments on the mayor's preliminary budget for fiscal year 24. Our comments were primarily geared towards their responses to the Department of Aging and the requests that have been made consistently that have been ignored and given very, just very, well, everything is rubber stamped, but, it's not given any responses that can lead to some sort of direction in how, these services or rather these requests can be made in some way in part or whatever, it's just like they don't care. So we weighed in on that. But that was our meeting, and that concludes my report.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Isaac. Appreciate that.
All right.
Don't see any hands raised. So thank you. And I look forward to all of us chairs and leadership being together on Thursday so we can dive in. And again, that's a little shout out numerous times. Show up to the committee meetings while you can. It's virtual, and go look at it on YouTube. All of us should do that. It's a good podcast. So, all right, we're going to move along. Next meeting is Youth and Education. David.
Good evening, all. How's everybody doing tonight? So I'll move very quickly, but I do want to announce a few things. During the meeting, Debbie Keonis made an announcement or proposal to do in Friends of Art Park, doing a project with youth and having youth express themselves and utilizing art as a form of expression. So that's coming up in information to follow up about that. We look forward to working with Debbie, both as the committee and bringing youth groups out to participate in that event. And that event will be open to all youth, all genders of youth, and all diversity of youth. Look forward to that event. Very quickly, we had our informational updates. One of the interesting things is Dr. Dela Cruz that always comes to our meetings had mentioned, Ash, did you want to add something, Asher?
It was just quickly, the event that Debbie Quinones was talking about is they hold a Pride event the first Saturday in June. So yeah, and she wanted to she could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if she's on the call. She wanted the youth to pay home, like honor the ones who came before us. So yeah.
Thank you, Asher, always keeping me real and keeping me on point. Those that don't know, Asher is the vice chair for youth and education. Continuing Department of Youth and Education, one of the things we talked about with Dr. Christie is again on how we expand youth to involvement in community service and community space. And it was interesting because I had a conversation with Xavier the week before, and then with Dr. Christie at another event, and both proposed the same kind of event, doing a collaboration in which we would have a youth symposium. Maybe this is something we could tie into the work that, you know, Debbie's proposing on the Friends of Art Park as well, and tying it into either some pride work or some other work that give, again, youth opportunity and forums to express themselves. So look forward to working on both of those projects as we go forward. We did have a presentation from Playground New York City. Really interesting. It reminded me of my own childhood in the 60s and 70s, where we didn't always have the greatest of parks in our community, but we found places to play. And some of those places were the junkyards or things were stored. And what's really interesting in this whole Play Adventures kind of scheme is that kids really utilize different objects to really create and use their imagination in creating spaces. We did have a lot of concern about the safety. I think one of their models was cautious or something to the fact. But again, the idea is to create risk for kids and taking in play, but also making sure that there are safe spaces for them to play in. Additionally, as we continue with the meeting and the presentation, some of the stuff that we talked about and is again following up in our work in the community and how we work with our CEC in collaboration. So one of the projects that, one of the presentations was very quickly a CEC resolution to not expand the charter cap that Governor Hochul is proposing. And I want to say, first of all, we did have some discussion on this and we did take a position in the past, the committee, to not expand the charter schools. We feel for the many reasons stated previously, but also in the one stated in the resolution adopted from the CEC4, was that there's a lot of money that's being diverted that could be diverted back into the DOE. There's a lot of issues about expanding the charter schools and then not give, and in the past, they would have to come before the board. Additionally, this would give them the opportunity to just expand into grades, to go from a middle school to now a high school without going through renewing a new charter. So there's a lot of different things in this resolution that we are not in support. But I really want to say is, as we raised this, we had about a 45-minute discussion on charter schools. And I think, you know, it was some of the discussion that Angel and myself had pre-starting the committee for this year, is taking a better look and more collaborative look at our work with charter schools in the community and how they do impact our community. Charter schools are public schools, but it's an interesting dynamic in the relationship, particularly when they share space and buildings in communities. So as concern is that some of our schools through COVID attendances went down, has created space, and would charter then come and occupy that space. So at this moment, the committee has taken a position to not support the expansion of the charter schools, and a motion was made. But again, I really want to talk about, you know, how we better look. Charter schools are a part of our system of educating in our community. They do serve many D4 kids, East Harlem, El Barrio kids, and we want to make sure that whether they're in a DOE school or a charter school, that the opportunities are fair and equal, and the kids have the best choices for the education. Not every kid needs the same education that's provided, and some really do need different forms of education that meets their needs as opposed to the particular school needs. So John Green made a motion to support Community Education Council District 4 resolution in opposition to raising the charter school cap, and instead of favoring charter costs to the DOE budget and ensuring more oversight and accountability with the amendment of striking out. So this was a point. We wanted to make sure that we did not identify any specific school. I might have, and I want everybody to check. Marlene, I might have, page 2 or 5, we might have did indicate a school in there that we need to strike out. the committee was very strong that we wanted to support the motion, but to not include the name of any charter school or any individual specifically. So again, the motion was seconded by Angela Donadell, passed with 2 abstentions, S. Mason and C. Perez. And again, I want to thank everybody for that healthy discussion. And it is something that we should look forward to putting on the agenda and including more in our discussion of statement. Thank you, Xavier. Sorry to be so.
Great. No, thank you very much, David. I know that was a jam-packed meeting and I was there for part of it. So with that, we have an action item. We have a question from Asher Rodriguez.
Oh, I was gonna make the motion to approve.
Okay, are there any questions? See it. Jessica Morris, your question?
Thank you. It's more of a point of clarification. I'm just trying to understand, David and Ash, the Youth and Education Committee, this motion is in support of CEC's resolution.
Yeah.
And it's their resolution, their position that you're asking the board to also support is it doesn't necessarily it is more about favoring the limits of costs with regard to DOE budget than it is changing the number of charter schools that are allowed. I'm just confused a little bit by what I guess my question is, you're asking us to support what CEC District 4 is supporting, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct. It's just minus the because there was an individual and a specific charter school mentioned in there, and the committee felt very strongly that we did not want to point blame at one specific charter school / person. So yeah.
Clear.
We're not coming up with our own position or letter necessarily. This is us just supporting the CEC's resolution.
And follow-up question, CEC came to you requesting support. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, Rosa Diaz, who is the president of CEC4, is also on the Youth and Education Committee, so she was there for the whole process.
Thank you.
And Jessica, for also disclosure, I also am a CEC member and sit on the CEC. And again, as I mentioned when I started this is again where we're working in collaboration to support community that takes positions that are similar to the ones that we take on the board. However, again, as I want to point out, I think there's still a lot of room to discuss more about our collaboration with charter schools. And I look forward to the members that support that. Xavier, if I may just follow up on one thing, because you kind of pointed it out.
Go ahead.
Yes, Xavier, it was great news a week ago to find out that Children's Aid, and it's in Cranes and listed that Children's Aid finally did sell the property and the building, and we are moving forward. So part of that deal is we are buying back a condo of 3 stories in the building to build the new East Harlem Center. And for many of you on the board that have sat as board members or as chairs and have helped that process, I really want to thank you for your support and patience and moving that process along. And again, I'm really looking forward in the next 4 to 5 years in reestablishing the East Harlem Center up on that hill on 101st Street to continue to serve the community. A major focus of the particular site will be adolescence and workforce development. And I came to Children's Aid when I was 13 in 1975. So I'm a little biased, but I'm really happy to continue to extend the legacy that Children's Aid has had in this community for the last 60 plus years, and look forward to working with many of you in the rebuild of that site. And we're going to also highlight performing arts as East Harlem is so rich with the arts. And Eugene, I'm going to tap into you. So I'm coming out there looking for you. Again, thank you, Xavier. Children's Aid will come and do a more formal presentation to the board upcoming soon. We're going to work that out. But thank you again, Ellen.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move things along. Jessica, is that an old hand or?
It's not an old hand, it's a follow-up question and a follow-up comment, and I'll keep it short. Is Is the request for support here from the board time limited? In that the committee has had their discussion and we need to take a position now, and then follow up is 1975 was not so long ago, David, and I think the spirit of the Play Street continued through the pandemic with the open street, which has, I believe, been slated by DOT for a permanent configuration in coordination with the construction project that will happen on that corner. So I think there's incredible opportunity for that legacy to play out, not only Puerto Rican Film Festival and culture writ large on the outside, but through and through in that special place that has a deep, long history. So thank you. And the good work will continue. That's big news.
So Jessica, one of the other things, and forgive me, Xavier, because Xavier's been part of this as well, is there've been discussion also to do, so you know how on 125th Street on Grand Central, they have the murals outside. So we have been working also with what's her name? Harry K, to also do that on the construction site on 101st. And that we would have artists paint on Lexington, the front, and then Children's Aid would do painting of maybe about 20 to 30 squares going down the block to the site. So part of that is to keep it alive, to remind people we're coming back, and to also bring back some of the old members that have participated and kind of do the paint and sip, but not with the sipping of the alcohol, but of the sipping of the fruit drinks for the kids, and kind of do that. So that's stuff we're going to be working with Mitch Caparosa, who you often see some of my murals behind me that she works on with our kids. And Xavier has been involved with that project as well. So.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry,
Thank you, Dave. No. It's all important. We plug back in. One quick question. I'm going to move move the question. Okay, go ahead, Bev.
Thank you, David, for the presentation. Quick question. You was making mention about buying a building. Is that the Children's Aid building on 101st Street? And
yes.
And if you say buying the building,
No. The building was sold, Beverly, so that the developer will build a big building about 10 to 12 stories high. We will have 3 stories in the building on 101st Street side with a nice playground in the back. The former Life Changes Church will be in the basement, and then Mount Sinai will be renting a majority of the remaining space in the building above the 3rd floor and the front on Lexington Avenue. But Children's Aid will be coming back. That was a commitment they made to the community in 2018 when they first discussed the sale of the lots and of the building. So many people don't know that actually was 8 different lots that Children's Aid owned to make the space. And over the time we had to combine the lots, yada, yada, yada. But it is now also to the developer, and we are going to proceed to tear down the structure of the building and rebuild a new building with Children's Aid having a co-op ownership in the new building.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Thank you, David. Yeah, it's a long time coming, right, David?
It's long, but I got my 5 to 8 year retirement plan, so I'm going to help that rebuild and then move on.
Excellent. All right. So with that, Asher was going to raise their hand and make a motion to support number 16, John Green, who had made a motion to support the CEC District 4 resolution opposition to raising the NYC charter school cap. And instead of favoring limiting charter costs to the DOE budget, ensure more oversight and accountability with the amendment striking out the name of any charter school identified as well as any name of individual identified in the body of the resolution. The motion was seconded by Angela Donadell and passed with 2 abstentions. Asher, do you still wish to make the motion?
Yes, motion to support the Youth and Education Committee's letter of support, I guess, to CEC 4.
Very good. Second, Eugene, you have your hand raised.
I second Asher's motion.
Okay, please call the roll.
Jose Altamirano,
Yes.
Leroy Andino,
Yes.
April Autry. April. Come back. Adam Briha,
Yes.
Jahid Chaudhry? No. Kenneth Crouch? Diane
Yes.
Collier? Is that, who was that?
Oh, that was Kenneth. Sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
that was Kenneth? Okay, thank you. Diane Collier? No. Okay. Carlos Diaz?
Yes.
Rosa Diaz?
Yes, I present but cannot vote since I'm CEC District 4.
Okay, so
Thank
present
you.
not voting.
Correct.
Thank you.
Present not voting.
Angela Donadell?
Yes.
Jessica Elliott?
Yes.
Judith Febrero? Judith? Raja Flores?
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you hold on a moment, please? Okay. David Giordano?
Yes, I'm present, not voting.
Present, not voting. Mhm. John Green?
Aye.
Jewel Jones?
Yes.
Marissa Mack?
Yeah.
Giselle Malave?
Yes. Sorry, I'm here. It's Judith.
Hi, Judith, thank you. Malik McCullough?
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer?
Yes.
Jessica Morris?
Yes.
Nilsa Orama?
Yes.
Beverly Pabon?
Yes.
Arturo Perez?
Yes.
Claudia Perez?
No, I do not support the resolution.
Roberto Perez? Asher Rodriguez?
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez?
Yes.
Dawn Sanders? No. Xavier Santiago?
Yes.
Isaac Scott?
Yes.
Russell Schuler?
Yes.
Vincent Torres? Vincent? And come back. Anne-Marie Vasquez? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anne-Marie? Candy Vivi Vasquez?
Anne-Marie
Yes.
said yes. I'm sorry. Anne-Marie says yes.
Okay, thank you, Anne-Marie.
You're welcome.
And Candy said yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Michelle Wilshire Clement, I abstain. And Jordan and Jason are not present. That is the roll.
All right, the motion.
April, I'm sorry, April Autry. I just want to give her a chance. She did not respond. Okay, that is the roll.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. And I will see you Thursday. Going to move along. We got one more committee with an action item and then one new business. So economic development and culture. Marissa.
Hi, good evening. So yes, in the interest of time, we do have one motion item. We did also briefly speak about the 10 million that East Harlem was granted thus far, which has not been allocated to units to Uptown Grand Central. I just wanted to make that clear, as I think some people, for whatever reason, think that the money has been granted directly to them. It has not, and it will be decided upon in terms of how to spend it by, I believe, both the city and the state. And so that process is ongoing, but yes, we have received some funding in the community, which is great. How it will be divided is not in the direct hands of Uptown Grand Central. I just wanted to put that plug out there for those that are listening. For the Economic Development and Culture meeting, we did have one motion by Justin Morris to support the Africa Center request for $5 million in capital funding from the Office of Council Member Kristen Richardson Jordan, and $5 million in capital funding from the Office of the Borough President, Mark Levine. The motion was seconded by Stephanie Boyo and passed unanimously.
Okay. Any questions? Please raise your hands. Michelle Webster Clement, your question.
I do not have a question. I would like to make a motion to approve.
Okay. Seeing no other hand, you would like to make a motion to go on?
I would like to make a motion to approve to support the Africa Center request for $5 million in capital funding from the Office of Council Member Kristen Richardson Jordan and $5 million in capital funding from the Office of Borough President Mark Levine.
Okay, is there a second? Jessica Elliott, you have your hand raised.
Second, thank you.
Please call the roll.
Okay. Jose Altamirano,
Yes.
Leroy Andino,
Yes.
April Autry.
Yes.
Oh, there you are, April. Adem Briha,
Yes.
Jahid Chaudhry, Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Carlos Diaz,
Yes.
okay, Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Angela Donadell,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Judith Fabero,
Yes.
Raha Flores,
Yes.
Osendi Garcia, David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Aye.
Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Marissa Mack,
Yes.
Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Malik McCullough,
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
Jessica Morris,
Yes.
Nilsa Ohrama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Yes.
Arturo Perez,
Yes.
Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Roberto and Javasia are not present. Asher Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez,
Yes.
Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Vincent Torres,
Yes.
Anne-Marie Vasquez,
Yes.
Candy Vives Vasquez,
Abstain.
Michelle Wilshire Clement. I say yes. And that is it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marissa. Appreciate all the work y'all do at EcoDev as well. That now brings us to, there was not an executive committee meeting yet. That'll be on Thursday, so we'll have an update of the March minutes or 2 for 1. That now brings us on to our new business, which is number 18, Prime 116 LLC, doing business as Boca Prime, method of operation change, application for a full liquor license, number 1321047 for the restaurant located at 2257 First Avenue, at corner at 116th Street. As was explained earlier, the reason this is here before us is because there was a misunderstanding about how abstentions are counted. And so again, we have to have an affirmative vote of of a majority, a simple majority, which is half plus one. And that is why it is here. I will now pass the baton to Adem. Adem, if you could give us a little background on this so the body may be aware and contextualize this business item.
Yeah, no problem. I think to sum it up, the reason for us not taking a position was that the vote was pretty contentious. There were people, as far as I know, that were in support of the application. There were people who were not in support of the application. We did have somebody, they have come in the past, this establishment, for a method of operation change. They've been denied. As far as I know, the method of operation change, at least in part, is to have DJs and like karaoke and like live music be a part of their establishment. The issue that was raised, and I brought it up because someone had brought it to my attention, was that this establishment, at the very least at that time, I had known, was promoting these DJ and karaoke events on their social media with the address linked to this, because they mentioned that they have another location, but these events had this address at, I believe it's 2257 First Avenue. So my issue, and the issue I raised with the owner and the representative, was why would you come to the board asking for permission or asking for our recommendation to SLA to allow you to do these types of events when you are already doing these types of events? And so that was really, I think, the main point. We had somebody from the public come. They said that they chose to remain anonymous, but they said that in the past that the music had been so loud that they could hear it while they were in their bed. Now, they said that that hasn't been an issue as of late with the music being that loud, but they did say that from what they've seen, these DJ events do happen. And as chair of this committee, and I only speak for myself, it wasn't so long ago that we had room 112, which is like right across, right like in near East River Plaza, where the problem is we kind of get told one thing is happening by an applicant, and then we kind of come to find that another thing is happening. And for them to come and say one thing when it appears very well, like it's most likely that they are having these types of events already, it does, I think, cause trepidation to grant this method of operation change. And it's not something we take lightly. At the same time, nobody is taking their liquor license from them. No one's telling them they cannot continue to operate as a restaurant that serves liquor. It's simply that there was an issue of whether they could do these events. And some people in the committee felt yes, some people felt no. But unfortunately, with 2 votes, we weren't able to take a position either way. So that's where we're at. And anybody from the committee can speak up if their recollection is a little bit different, and anyone that has any questions, I'm happy to do my best to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Adem, and just stand by. Are there any additional commentary for those committee members who were present on the day? Please raise your hand.
Carlos, we had asked them, one of the questions we asked if they were soundproof, and the answer was they were soundproof. So that was trying to suffice one of the issues that we had, because in the past they were not soundproof. And that's about it. And I had made the motion to grant the license to them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I still make that motion.
Yeah, I will circle back as soon as I address the hands raised for those committee members to speak on the matter, just so we can make sure we have a good debrief on that. Thank you. And then we'll circle back. Malik?
Yes, Adem, I just wanted to know, is as far as total is, I don't want to say the committee, but is it said that, well, is it the committee's recommendation that in total that you don't want to do any type of DJing within East Harlem or any of those type of events within East Harlem at all?
No, that's not. This is simply, we're talking about one application here.
Okay.
And I don't think there was issues in the past as to why, if somebody has a better recollection, maybe Judith or someone else, as to why this particular establishment was an issue. I mean, the whole board took these positions in the past. And I'm only going to speak for myself. I don't have a problem with DJ events if they're done correctly. What I do have a problem with, and more than ever, having now experienced, and I'm not going to really hold what one applicant does against another applicant, but I can't help but learn from my experience. And when somebody comes to a meeting and I don't believe that they're being fully transparent with what they're telling us at a meeting, then I have a hard time really believing much else. And so that's my main issue here at the moment, personally speaking, is that what we were being told and what other things were showing were not the same. And that's the problem, at least for me.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to go to Judith Fabrera, who also sits on that committee. Judith.
Hi, yes, I didn't hear if Adam from the beginning, but there was someone from the public who, when Adem asked a question about them having a smoke shop or whatever that you was concerned about, and someone from the the applicant said, no, they're not doing that, but someone from the public raised their hand and said, yes, they still have it. So, I mean, are they lying? Is the person that was from the public lying to us? The applicants lying to us? I mean, so there were issues, but there have been issues with that particular corner for a very long time, especially with the music and bands that they want to have and these private parties that are very loud. We don't even know if they really have any kind of insulation for the people that live above. So basically that's it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other board members who sit on that committee? I'm just
I
checking.
think Rosa's on the committee.
Rosa, you sit on that committee, I believe, right?
And Angela.
Yes, I do.
Angela? Okay, please, Rosa and then Angela.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to also make a comment with what Judy said. I actually took it upon myself to go into the restaurant and check for myself about the smoking. And around 6 p.m., there were around 4 hookahs turned on.
Yeah.
And I was eating with my kids. There was no notice. And I don't think that was very proper of them. And if there was going to be hookah, they should have told the rest of the, customers that were there, because I had young children with me, the youngest to be 6 years old, and I felt suffocated by all the smoke. So, and I did not know that was going to be done at that specific hour. And also with the cork soundproofing, I did not see any of that, and I made it my business to touch the wall, and it didn't feel like it. To just to my knowledge, I'm not a professional or anything like that. That was my comment. Thank you so much.
Xavier, could I chime in? I don't have a hand raise function. It's just to what Rose.
Go ahead, Adem, and then I'll go to Angela.
And anyone could tell me if I remember asking about the hookah. Wasn't a smoke shop. It's hookah, to be clear. But if I'm correct, they told us. If I'm correct, they told us that they are not doing that anymore, and it's just now a pattern of telling us one thing and doing another thing, and that's the issue.
Okay, Angela.
Yes, so Rosa, that evening, Rosa and I did not vote the same way. So now she has experienced it, and that was the problem. This is not the first time that they came and they told us 2 different stories. The questions that we asked, they could not answer, or at least they didn't answer them in a way that I was satisfied with. They're not being forthright, and I don't think that we should give them something when they're not being truthful.
Thank you, Angela. Now other board members, Asha.
My question is, because I'm not familiar with the place, they claim that they have soundproof. Rosa said that she didn't see any physical soundproofing. Would they be able to provide us with any, like the specific soundproofing they use? Because soundproofing doesn't necessarily show on the outside sometimes. So I know there's been many complaints, but this is like more a question for the owner. Do they know the specific type of soundproofing that was put in? Because for the certain decibels that they're using, they're going to need different soundproof, and they may say that they soundproofed it, but it wasn't the correct one. So yeah, if that makes sense, like what type of soundproofing was used?
Is I will now, chair's discretion, is the owner on? Because typically they would be able to, did they, in a point of clarification, did they provide all their additional paperwork?
I thought they had mentioned that they would submit proof of soundproofing. I didn't see anything come across me, but you could ask if Marlene's on, she would have been who they would have probably sent it to. So if Marlene's here, I'd ask if she could tell us if they received any proof from the applicant that they've actually installed soundproofing.
Okay, Marlene, can you confirm whether or not they submitted proof as prerequisite? And all additional materials. I'm coming to you next, Nilsa, so just stand by. And all additional materials were provided.
Yes.
So they provided all additional materials. Did they provide proof of soundproofing?
They did not provide this proof of soundproofing yet. No.
Okay, but they provided all the paperwork.
Yes, they did.
Okay, all right. So that's okay. Nilsa, your question?
Yeah, I just want clarity here. So Boca Prime wants to change for a full liquor license. Is that what we're discussing? Method of operation change application for full liquor license.
They have a full liquor license. They've had a full liquor license. The method of operation change is to allow them to have DJs, karaoke, I believe live music. There might be some other things, but that's what's coming off the top of my head. So a method of operation change doesn't necessarily change the type of liquor license you have. It just changes literally, as it says, your method of operation, like what kind of services you offer, so to speak, or how you conduct business.
So just so that I'm clear, and I think you mentioned it, our vote tonight would not interfere with their having a full liquor license. Our vote is to clarify if we're voting in the affirmative for what they want to do in addition to with that, as they're serving liquor.
And anyone could correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, as far as I know, and I looked at the air table today, I went back, we have denied their method of operation change while we've approved their renewal for a liquor license. So they can be separated. And in this case, this denial will not affect the status of their ability to serve liquor at this establishment. No, they can still.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Angela, did you have a follow-up to that? Your hand's still up or no? Okay. Asher and then Jessica and then.
Yeah, this is just a question for someone to clarify because I'm not sure I'm familiar with this. A change of operation or method of operation change, will they be operating now as a DJ performance space instead of a restaurant, or is this like adding on to the fact that they're a restaurant and stuff like that?
They're still a restaurant. I appreciate the question. So they're still a restaurant. They would just be a restaurant that offers these services. I mean, that's more of I guess a business question to them. I mean, I would then, since you brought that question up, I would bring it to the attention that and I'm not saying they are not allowed to do this, but they do offer bottled service, and they promote this when they promote DJ'd events. Bottled service, at least from my experience, is typically something offered at a club, not a restaurant, but I'm not saying that that restaurants don't do it. But so if that helps answer your question, but I think they would be better equipped to tell you what their plans are for this business. But you can add DJ events and still be a restaurant. That you can do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to take the chair's discretion because one of the people, is the owner present?
Yes. I cannot raise my hand because there's no way to do it.
Okay, Julio Gores, All right.
Yes, my name is Julio Gores.
Would you please speak to the matter at hand with this method of operation change and the concerns levied?
Bless you. Well, Mr. Santiago, I'm listening to all the conversation and it's a lot here to address. Let me start by saying, the restaurant is dying. When before the pandemic, and I know the board members are talk about previous incidents on the restaurant. Since I own it, there's no incidents or 311 calls. Anything prior to me, I remember they was having an Irish pub across the street and then the restaurant across the street, and it was a lot of 311. And the reason I mentioned the Irish pub is because when a lot of people are drinking because it's a bar across the street and they start a fight, doesn't matter which way you go, the cops are gonna come. So past beyond that, when I own the restaurant, I haven't had any of those issues. The reason I'm also trying to get change or help to change, if you guys help me with the method operation, is because of the business is dying. When we hit the pandemic, now we behind in rent, we behind in taxes, and when people come in, they listen to music. We don't put it loud enough for people to be bothered, and that's the type of people in the neighborhood they are around. We got recommendation for Eddie Gibbs. We got hundreds of signatures that we could bring to you and take a look at it. We have a lot of support from the community, and it's so much to address here that it's not enough time to talk about it. But he mentioned bottles. If bottles are serviced when a crowd of people walk in, and instead of buying drinks one each other, it becomes less expensive for them to use a bottle and share with the whole friends or family or whatever they do. So if these things are not done within the community, they don't come in. They go other places. They mentioned hookah. Right now, I know the city of New York is not providing licenses to any of the restaurants or places for hookah. If you go across the street, they got hookah. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because that's not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to get approved. If you go a little further up, every single restaurant, I'm not talking clubs or bar, every single restaurant, if they say about hookah, so everybody use it. So if you're going to go into all of these restaurants, so you're going to have to start telling them they cannot use it either. So I'm not trying to say that we're going to use it or we're not going to use it. I'm not sitting here trying to lie to you. We changed our management because management was very poor on how to manage things. So we try to improve. But if we don't get the help that we need, we're going to have to close. So it's another restaurant closing down and going down the drain because we put in these obstacles right in front of them and we cannot operate. I mean, we can work that way because customers don't want to come in. So if we don't do what is necessary and we probably put in live music, the restaurant is not big enough for live music. We might not even bring live music, but DJ you could bring in. Some people like to come in and celebrate their birthday and want to sing as a karaoke. That's a common thing that a lot of people do, not only in New York, everywhere in the country, people do that. Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is the things that we confronting today. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Julio Torres, for being here. I just, in the interest of time, and we appreciate the struggles and travails that have affected many of our proprietors and restaurateurs. I have a series of questions, and this is why we implore to many of our businesses when they have a renewal method of operation, a new application, that they come before the committee, because getting into the weeds, that's what the committee is designated to do. And so I'm going to go through a series of quick questions. So Rosa Diaz, your question?
Yes, thank you so much. In all honesty, I actually wanted to approve it at the beginning because, businesses are suffering and because we're coming back from a pandemic and everything. But then I was like, let me just go and see for myself. What is this business? If they're being truthful, because I like to follow the rules and regulations, and having hookah with while I'm eating with my 6-year-old and my 11-year-old who is special needs and not being notified that there's hookah in the business. There were like 4 to 5 hookahs turned on. And I'm like, I started coughing. If I didn't start coughing, I would have not realized that there was hookah in there. So I feel very lied to. And I'm totally in agreement with Angela and Adam. And thank you so much that it did not carry, the motion did not carry, because I would now be feeling guilty.
Do you
I
have a
just like us
question,
to be
Rosa?
very honest. That was my comment. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Asher, your question?
I had a comment, but I'll just leave it because in the interest of time, but yeah.
Okay, Jessica and then Nilsa.
Thank you, Xavier. You can hear me?
Yeah, your question.
Okay, thank you. My question, were there hours of operation with regard to the limitations on the activities related to the method of operation change? And then a second recommendation that somehow this experience, both related here and with regard to the method of operation change referred to on East 117th Street, consideration for formalizing for the committee to formalize those concerns and put them forward to Department of City Planning, which is undergoing a process whereby they review the use classifications, and where the use is technically not changing, but something like a method of operation change, which is a technical change that requires some degree of oversight, actually does significantly affect the quality of life of residents who live around it. There perhaps should be consideration for a distinction between one type of use and another type of use beyond only a method of operation change. So there's value here in what we're going through that is under consideration for a citywide concern. And I just point back to a citywide zoning text amendment, not to be a nerd, but a citywide zoning text amendment for health and fitness that related to some of the building requirements, such as soundproofing and the like, to make sure that neighboring residents were protected against adverse effects of activity contained within business use classifications. Happy to say more, but my question is, are there limits to the hours for the method of operation change activities under the application we're reviewing here tonight? Thank you.
That sounds like a question for Adem, and then I'll respond, then I'll go to Nilsa. Adem, are there limits?
As far as I know, I don't think so. I think it would have just gone under the hours that they normally operate. I don't think they were putting restrictions on those events, but if somebody wants to say otherwise, they can. I mean, I'm having a hard time remembering everything at this point.
What was the submitted hours, Julio?
Midnight.
Midnight. Okay, midnight.
And Thursday to Saturday, and Sunday. The Sunday I forgot, but I know she mentioned to Mr. Beijing all the hours and to the board member. And also she said, if you have a suggestion on the hours, we're willing to work with that also.
Copy that. Thank you very much. I just want to clarify and keep our meeting moving along with all the facts. Nilsa, your question.
I'm sorry, I'll keep it brief. So just so I understand, you're saying operating till 12 o'clock midnight. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, we're talking about for the music, for the DJ and the karaoke stop at midnight.
Okay.
That way we don't pass those hours. We legally could stay open to 2, but we're willing to cut that off at midnight, so that way we don't interrupt with the neighbors.
Okay, and in terms of what Ms. Diaz brought up, that she went in and all the hookahs, well, I always say it wrong, so pardon me, hookahs.
Okay.
In terms of your operation, is there a thought to do that kind of activity in a separate room that is not that does not impact the diners or anyone else, like if Ms. Diaz went in with her 2 children and obviously does not want to get subjected to that, and any others who don't want to subject themselves to the hookah smell and the smoke. Is there a thought to realigning how your establishment is to best suit those activity changes that you are bringing up?
The same way we put in the midnight use, I'm sorry, for the DJ and the karaoke, we could still also post it on the walls that on the outside, people could see it from, let's say, from what time to what time we're not gonna be doing it. And then we could put, let's say, from 7 to 12, hypothetically speaking. I'm here to cooperate with you guys, to cooperate with me. If you give me times or whatever that I could do, because today, and I'm sorry to say today, what people ask, that's what the rest is trying to do to survive. So if you give me hours, let's say from hypothetically speaking, from 3 to 6, that's gonna be free. And then I'm gonna give you from 7 up to 12, so you could do that, but you gotta post it. So that way people know when you're walking in.
Okay. And then in terms of, just the last question, when did you take ownership of this establishment?
About 3 years ago, but I kept it closed for like 6 months, close to 7, because when I got in, the chef who said he was a chef, he wasn't a chef. And then to find another one, it took me a little time to start. And then I walked into the pandemic.
Okay. And then you
It
stayed.
was, I'm sorry to interrupt. It was open, but not in operation in the time that I said when I bought it.
Okay, and then from that point on, you said from the time that you owned it, there was no 311 calls or anything like that under your
Nothing.
ownership.
On my ownership, no.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarity.
Xavier, I don't have a hand raise function. Can I looked it up, so I have some information on the hours. If you'd like me to
Talk to
share.
me. Talk to me.
Okay, so the DJ will be weekends only, but the live music and karaoke don't have a restriction. The hours that are listed, and again, anyone correct me if I'm wrong, is midnight, Sunday and Monday, 1 a.m. Tuesday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 2 a.m. And I just want to make one comment because it was said about the committee. I don't think we've taken an anti-hookah stance in general, but when you're asked at a meeting, do you serve hookah? And you say no, and then somebody from that committee goes within weeks after that and they see 4 hookah things on the table, that's the problem, is just not being truthful more than what activities are actually happening. Because
I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, and I'm not trying to disrespect you at all in any shape or form, okay? I just said here, if you give us the hours, because we open to 2 o'clock in the morning, and we could do it between Thursday to Sunday, maybe 4 o'clock or whatever the situation may be. But at the other end, and with all due respect to you, okay, I was at the meeting when some of the people voted yes. And like I'm going back to you, I repeat it, to all due respect to you, you started coaching the members. You started telling them what you like and what you don't like. You didn't vote, but from the conversation that you have with the members, you was already against it. I don't know what was listen, this is not the first time you and I we speak.
Xavier,
This is not to
Hold
me.
on. Julio, look, I'm trying to run a polite civil meeting. I listened to the meeting. And I'm going to be very clear that there were no aspersions cast. And again, the chair guides the meeting, calls the facts, the balls and strikes. I listened to the meeting, so did our district manager. The balls and strikes were called fairly at that meeting. And I'm just gonna, I don't have a dog in this fight. All I care about is making sure we have a meeting done right. I'm listening to everyone very fairly, and I listened to that meeting, but I think that that we can't, that has to be left out there. So that's what I'm going to say. And I need to move this agenda along. We've spent a lot of time on this. So I'm going to, Angela, you had a question, Jewel, and then I'm going to give a chair's deference. Peggy, I will come to you, but I need it to be very, very brief. So Angela, your hand, you lowered your hand.
I'm sorry, I thought I was talking. Adam, what Mr. Goris said is totally incorrect. He was not coaching us in the way we voted because we made the assumption that our abstentions with the negatives would automatically cause it not to pass. It was called pass. In the second vote, it didn't pass because you had 2 people on your side. To say that a Dem coached us is totally unfair. Totally unfair.
Okay.
We
Xavier,
answered a question.
Hold on. Time out. What, Adem?
I have to
Please
say something
correct.
because that's a serious accusation that was made at me. And
Yes.
and
I'm saying,
no, and I just want to speak. I want to say one thing and then I'll drop it. I asked Marlene what the proper procedure was because there were committee members who were confused by their vote. And I said, are we allowed to take another vote? I completely deferred to the procedures. I didn't coach anything. And as the chair, it is my job to lead the meeting and move it along. And as a board member, I am entitled to have my opinions and ask my questions. And so I don't appreciate the accusations.
Correct. And again,
And I said, to all due respect, if I'm wrong for what I said, my
Julio,
apologies
you
to
have not,
you.
okay, thank you for apologizing. It's important that, again, we approach this with respect. Adem did consult. Both myself and the district manager listened as a parliamentarian. I can tell you that's just the way it rolled out. It was the balls and strikes were called fairly at that meeting. It was an innocent mistake at the tabulation level. And we have clarified that. Now, we have spent an exhaustive amount of time on this because we do care. And this is the importance of why things are handled in committee. With that, Jewel, I'll give you the last question, and then I will let Peggy speak briefly, and then I'm going to entertain a motion.
Well, I raise my hand to call the question and move this along.
Thank you very much. I will come to you to call the question next, Jewel. Let me allow Peggy a brief moment. Peggy, a former board member and who was one of the people referenced as the district leader. Thank you. Peggy.
Very quickly, first of all, good evening, board members. Julio, I do have several questions for you that are very, very brief. First of all, have you installed any sound attenuation paneling in your restaurant since you purchased it, since you've become the owner?
I'm not gonna lie to you. It was told to me that it was already there. I didn't investigate. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you otherwise.
Are you prepared to do so if that's something that we are asking?
If it's necessary, yes.
Okay. Is there a way to partition off any portion of the restaurant so that people who are interested in doing hookah after a certain hour where it's conspicuously posted and people are aware, they can do so without interfering with people that are interested in having their meals?
Okay, I'm gonna say no because the restaurant is too small. But I will say, like I mentioned before, we could deviate the hours, provided that the board asks me the hours and I will put it in if it's possible. That's the only thing I have to say.
And I also just want to leave you with this. It would really be a shame to watch your restaurant close. We need the diversity. We need to have options in the community. We need to keep the ways in which we do that is through these small restaurants that provide not only employment for the people who are here locally, but also provide places to go for the people who live here and who visit here. So I hope that this works out. And thank you, board members. Thank you, Xavier, for acknowledging me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We had Jewel who wanted to call the question. Everyone, I'm not going to entertain any more questions at this time. Jewel, you'd like to call the question. Do you wish to make a motion?
I make a motion to not support.
Okay, well.
Chair, I made a motion earlier. You acknowledged we had everybody speaking, but no one responded. So I had made a motion to.
Then wait a minute. Hold on, Jewel. That is true. He did make a motion, so I will have to entertain it and see if there is a second. Jewel, and then if he doesn't, I apologize, getting a little tired here, human. So Carlos, what was your motion? And then I will then call for a second.
To approve the actually to approve them for they're getting the licenses as well as having the hookah and work out a fair understanding where we could probably then maybe work out an hour where they could do it from certain hour to a certain hour.
Okay, so we would need to specify that here on the floor.
Okay,
I will, so you're making a motion to approve and you want to have some specificity to it, but you don't have any to offer. Are you open to a friendly amendment to that specificity?
yes.
Okay, I will open it up for since we're going to kind of have to wordsmith this on the fly. Jessica Morris?
Yeah, point of clarification. It's my understanding that in order to that you have to have a permit to be able to allow non-tobacco hookah. And that's not something that can be obtained if it's not already in hand. Perhaps that's incorrect. We are not essentially what I'm saying is we are not in a position to opine on whether or not the owner can allow an activity under this method of operation change. The method of operation change is with regard to music and DJing, not hookah.
Okay, so thank you for the point of clarification. Candy, you had your hand up. Are you wishing to add a friendly amendment to the stipulations that were discussed?
Yeah, I was wanting to say, I'm sorry for the echo in the back. Okay, so the friendly amendment should be that with the conditions, there should be some conditions set. You know,
Understood.
and
The
you will have to
conditions
make
you're
the
offering.
corrections to get the soundproof. What everyone is complaining about, to have soundproof, to
Okay,
ensure.
So soundproofing, a requirement for soundproofing, that was discussed. What about hours? Hours were also discussed.
And
No plan
right,
on-
so at the adequate hours that, you know, just as a, you know, with a condition, what is it, probatory? I'm sorry, I'm tired. With, you know, like a probationary way that at least, you know, give them the extension for at least 6 months.
So we need the specificity of the hours. Currently, we're read in by Dem that we're going until midnight. And then on the weekends, I think until 1 is what it's listed. So there was a comment on hours. What would you advise as a friendly amendment to Carlos's to adding that specificity?
Allow any hookah at all, knowing that he didn't have any permit or anything for that, and the space is not enough for, you know, to have the ventilation for the smoke. So
Okay, my question was on the hours. I know it's late, trying to get through this.
well, the hours can be at least extended till at least, you know, 1 o'clock.
That's
Because,
what's
you know, we
existing
don't-
now. So Candy, I need I'm not to be short, but we've talked about reduction of hours during this meeting. Is that something you wish to push forward as a friendly amendment? Because what you put forward is a requirement to provide proof of soundproofing, no hookah, whether we can comment on it or not, it is a request that's a contingency. It's a condition. So do you wish to have a reduction of the current hours?
Yes.
Okay, to what?
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was off mute.
Okay. Do you not, I can ask another board member who may be able to recall.
And I do have conditions. I think
Okay.
the establishment should only be open on Sunday through Thursday till 11.
Okay.
Then
So-
Fridays and
Hold
Saturday.
on, Angela, hold on.
Okay.
wait a
So-
minute, but I have the floor.
No, that's why I said for her to hold on, Candy. Are you done with your conditions? Because I was asking on hours in specific.
Yeah, because the hours, you know, it depends on the days, but at least Friday and Saturday, you know, give it an extension of the hours. You
Well,
know, I mean, so
Okay,
at least till at least 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, and then during the week, at least to 11:30.
okay, so, all right, there's a broad window there. So we have soundproof, no hookah, and I'd really like to move this along. If you don't have a more specific timeline, I'd like to move this. Carlos,
I
do you-
gave you the timeline.
They were not specific, so I'm gonna table that for the moment. And we're gonna go back to soundproof and no hookah. That's something that seems, Carlos, do you accept that?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
No hookah and making sure that they have soundproof.
Because, and
Right.
real quick, point of
Thank
clarification,
you.
where are we in the 30-day period, Marlene or Adem? Adem, Marlene, where are we in the 30-day period?
I don't know. I don't know.
Marlene? Candice, I'm gonna thank you for those recommendations. Angela, what recommendations did you have, your conditions?
My hours, I accept the other conditions as stated. My hours would be Monday through Thursday till 11. Friday and Saturday, I can deal with till 1. Because that's the weekend.
Okay, and Sunday?
Did I not include, didn't I say Sunday through Thursday?
It
thought I
sounded
did.
like it's the Monday.
Okay, my mistake. I meant Sunday through Monday, 11.
Okay, Sunday through Monday, 11. Then what about
Yes.
Tuesday to Thursday?
Wait, oh, okay. Sunday through Thursday until 11. And then Friday and Saturday till 1.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. I have, Carlos, do you accept that?
I do.
Thank you. All right, those friendly amendments have been added on. Anne Marie Vasquez, real quick.
I just want to know why not the hookah?
We've had that discussion, and I think people have kind of stated their position on it. I'm sure at a subsequent meeting, we could have that addressed, but apparently there are people that are averse to it. So it has been accepted as a motion. Now I will call a second on this. Eugene, do you wish to second?
Yeah, I second Charlie's emotion. And if
And the
we're
friendly-
gonna tell these people they can't have hookah, then nobody can.
I understood, but you accept that with the friendly amendments he had added on?
Yes,
to
I
his-
do. Yes, I
Okay,
do.
thank you. Please call the roll.
Jose Altamirano.
I'm sorry, could we read the motion out
Yep,
clearly?
I'd be glad to read it out. There is a motion to approve the license with the conditions that there must be proof of, that soundproofing will put in place and provided. No hookah. The hours of operation will be reduced from what they are currently to Sunday to Thursday until 11 PM, Friday and Saturday until 1 AM. Under the method of operation change. And again, does that clarify for you, Isaac?
It does. Can you
Oh, is
vote
that-
to, yes, I want just a question, forgive me, like, so you can vote against that condition? Like, or just no for the whole motion, right?
That is the
Because it has-
total, yeah, the total
Got
motion
it.
now is on the. So Jessica, you had a question?
Not a question, just a note that I think Candy had also mentioned that it would be probationary, so perhaps we
Okay. Probationary?
they report back or in a certain time period.
thank
30
you.
days or 60 days, I don't know.
Angel?
Just seeking some clarity. So the hour restrictions are applicable to the changes sought in the method of operation change, not to the operation of the business, just for those changes being proposed. Is that correct?
That is
So the
my.
DJ and the live music would stop at 11 and at 1 respectively, not that the business would close at 11 and 1 respectively.
Correct.
correct?
That is
Okay.
my understanding.
Thank you.
And we're just, again, I'm going to restate the motion because thank you, Jessica Elliott, for pulling out the probationary. That'd be a probationary period. I think the month was 6 months. Carlos, do you accept that as well?
That's fine. Yes.
Okay. So we have, I'm going to restate the motion for everyone one last time. There's a motion to support the application with the following conditions. It would be probationary for 6 months. They must provide evidence of soundproofing. There would be no hookah. The operations would be Sunday through Thursday for the method of operation changes until 11 PM, Friday through Sunday at method of operation changes till 1 AM. That is what's before us on the floor. It was first by Carlos, seconded by Eugene Rodriguez. Nilsa, you have a question with the motion on the floor.
Yes, just a point of clarity. Now that the probationary period has been introduced, what is supposed to happen after the probationary period is finished? And how does that affect what was proposed here? Is it after the 6 months, it is still no hookah? And that the probationary period is only what's mentioned here? Or is it that after 6 months, based on what the community board looks at businesses around the area, based on what they're doing, is there reconsideration? Or is it just for what was mentioned here tonight? And what happens after the probationary period?
So the probationary period, they should come back to present, and we should this licenses and permits should come and address how many, whether or not there've been 311s, have they followed through with all of this? And if not, reserve the right to submit to SLA for a revocation method of operation change. That would be the normal protocol.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So all right. Thank you. We have first by Carlos with the friendly amendments cited previously, seconded by Eugene Rodriguez. And that making sure that during this probationary period at the end that they will return back to the licenses and permits committee to present and review and so that the committee could report back to the full body and then also report to SLA. Okay, please call the roll.
Jose Altamirano. Jose. I'll come back to you. Leroy Andino.
Yes.
April Autry.
Yes.
Adem Briha.
No.
Juhaid Chaudhry. Diane Collier. Kenneth Crouch.
Abstain.
Carlos Diaz.
Yes.
Rosa Diaz.
Yes.
Angela Donadell.
Yes.
Jessica Elliott.
Yes.
Raha Flores.
Yes.
Osendi Garcia.
You forgot me,
Who's me?
Judith Fabraro.
I did. I'm so sorry, Judith. And what is your reply, Judith?
No.
All right. I have written it. Okay, Osendi, passing by, David Giordano.
Yes.
John Green.
Aye.
Alonzo Johnson is not there. Jewel Jones.
No.
Marissa Mack.
No.
Giselle Malave.
Yes.
Malika McCullough.
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer.
Yes.
Jessica Morris.
No.
Nilsa Orama.
Yes.
Beverly Pabon.
Abstain.
Arturo Perez.
Abstain.
Claudia Perez.
Yes.
Roberto Perez. No. Okay, and I'm not answering for him. I'm just seeing that they're not here. Asher Rodriguez.
No.
Eugene Rodriguez.
Yes.
Don Sanders is not here. Xavier Santiago.
Yes.
Isaac Scott.
No.
Russell Schuler.
Yes.
Anne-Marie Vasquez.
Yes.
Candy Vives Vasquez.
Yes.
Michelle Wilshire Clement. No. And Jordan and Jason are not here. That is complete.
How about Benny Torres?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you're here?
No, I'm you didn't call out his name, which is
Vincent, I didn't say Vincent Torres?
No, you did not. Vincent?
Vincent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm going back to Jose Altamirano. Jose? I will check my text to see. However, go ahead. And he did not reply in the chat. And I don't see a text from him. Okay, that
Could
ends
I-
the roll call.
I think that, Angel, could you double check for me? I think.
Yes, the motion carries 20 in favor, 8 opposed, and 3 abstentions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for bearing with us. Julio, if you are still on.
Wait, Mr.
I don't see, it looks like he logged out.
Oh,
There.
yeah. He's
Okay.
in- okay.
Julio, we look forward to you. You can circle back with our office tomorrow on Thursday. How everything we've worked toward. Thank you for bearing with us. It's important to, plug in at the committee level, and we'll have a deeper conversation debrief after that. Thank you for being present for tonight's full board meeting.
May I say something else before we go? And I'm sorry, like I said, my apologies to the gentleman who's the chair member of the community board, Mr. Bid Atman, that's his name.
There you go.
No intentions taken against him. The other thing is, I would apply for the license for the hookah, but the city is not giving it. So I ask with all due respect for some leniency. Maybe we could come back in a shorter time to talk about it, because the city is not providing anybody with licenses, but at the same time, they're not punishing anybody for not doing it.
I appreciate that. What I would recommend is we will have a chat, and then maybe having that discussion at a subsequent license and permits meeting to be part of that solution. But this is what the motion that carried on the floor.
No.
We can have that conversation about how we can work better together and build a community relations and listen to the community members who you've heard tonight. I know this seems like a heavy lift, but we got through it. I'm very thankful to the members who spoke passionately and also addressed it in a clinical fashion. So again, we all want to work and see everyone's success, but that requires us, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, to lean in. And so I would recommend coming to another license and permits committee meeting. We can have a conversation with our staff as well. So thank you for being here and showing up. We appreciate it. I just want to let our board members go to bed. So thank you for raising that, and we will turn our attentions to it. Okay.
Okay, so when is the next board meeting?
Well, the next, reach out to the staff and we'll schedule a call. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. With that, that brings us to our old business. I appreciate everyone's patience. And as we wordsmith that, Eugene, do you have a question?
I have some old business.
Is it ancient or just old?
All
right. What is your old business?
Ancient.
I just want the community board to know that the Hispanic Federation, which runs the Julia de Burgos Cultural Center, has not ever celebrated, commemorated, or memorialized her birthday. And that's an untenable situation. I think we all should do something about it.
All right. Thank you, Eugene. And I think we can raise that directly with them, and I'll make it a point to make a personal inquiry gladly. Because we have the mural right there on 106 and Lex, and it's beautiful to tour and go see it when we have different cultural events. So thank you. And any other old business? Seeing none, I'm not going to call the roll again. We just went through it. I appreciate your patience. Announcements: on February 19th, Mayor Adams extended the emergency executive order for an additional 30 days through March 21st, 2023, which means we will be able to be virtual. I would recommend that continue to be safe, and we will see everyone for executive committee on Thursday, and then our Second Avenue Subway Task Force on Tuesday. So with that, Beverly, do you have an announcement?
Yes, I wanted to just, I don't know if anybody spoke about it. The closing of the Catholic school on 118th Street, St. Paul's. I know if they close that, supposed to be closing that school down on, and at the end of the term. And I'm just concerned, or just want everybody to have a heads up as to what's going to happen with the building afterwards. Just to keep that on everybody's forefront, because, you know, space in this community is very limited. And so I just want us to keep an eye on that space. I'm not sure what the Archdiocese is going to do with it after they close the school. But I just want people to have the heads up for that. My second thing is that there's a law 1572 that's being that's just passed, that I'm just finding out about, and I want to bring up to everybody's attention regarding the racial disparity reports that they want to put as part of the process of the land use. I don't know how this is going, you know, I hope it's going to help with a displacement and justification. That's what it's supposed to be for. So we have this type of report and information when we work on land use. And I just want to have a heads up on that, and hopefully something that we can discuss on how it can help us later on. And
Great. That reach out to Jason and Nilsa at Land Use. I'm sure they would love to have you. Two more. Again, thank you for being plugged in, but bring it over to Land Use, and they'll appreciate that. That's what we're supposed to do. Eugene, and then Jan, and we'll close out the announcements. Eugene.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By the way, you've done an excellent job tonight. You earned your money. With regard to the
Your wife got
you got a raise.
What money?
So Eugene, flattery don't charge his batteries. Go on.
I was serious.
What money? I want some too.
Go on,
Trying to
Eugene.
let everybody know, my wife runs the school for the kids that are gonna, you know, make their communions and stuff like that. And she let me know that the Archdiocese is thinking about selling the church on 19th.
Okay, that's helpful. We should probably reach out and find out what and who they're looking to engage with. So thank you for both bringing that up. Thank you, Eugene. Jennifer, your announcement?
Yes, I promise I'll be very quick. I don't know if folks know, but size discrimination is still legal in New York City. So based on your weight or height, you can legally be discriminated against with like jobs and housing. So there is a bill being proposed in New York City to make that illegal. There is a hearing and a rally happening next week on the 28th. So I just wanted to make sure folks are aware of that. I think it's something that's often not known. And I put in the chat a link just to the rally, and there's more information about the hearing as well.
Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you raising that. And it's important. I'm going to leave everyone with this, and thank you for your patience first and foremost. It's important. All of us should be diving in to see what bills legislators in Albany and Washington and then here in New York City are looking at and pushing forward from their committees. If you want to, as they say, a bill to dying committee, you got to get it to the committee chair and speak to those members. If it's something you want to see survive, that's something you should advocate. And again, one is just one person talking in the wind. 5 is an agenda item. 50 is a movement. So it's important. And I know Angel's been sending out testimony. So Angel, did you want to speak on that I saw your hand come up.
No, that was by accident.
So that's important. So thank you so much, Jen, for bringing that up. It's incumbent upon all of us. And that's why bring that up at committee level as well, so we can advocate and take a position. And again, we'll see everyone in executive. If there are no more announcements, I'm going to just say we're adjourned since we already did our roll call for the last.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night.
Shalom. Shalom.